This podcast of the Equine Forum is brought to you by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business. It all begins in 15 seconds right after this word from our podcast sponsor.
The University of Louisville Equine Industry Program at the College of Business is now offering a graduate certificate, which can be completed in 15 or 30 weeks and be done as a standalone or used as 20% of your MBA. Classes at both the undergraduate and graduate level are forming now for August.
From the rail to your radio, this is the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Cody's Wish has a narrow lead. Cyberknife is right there to the inside. Slow down Andy coming late from third. Cyberknife fighting back. Cody's Wish right alongside. Down to the wire. Cody's Wish wins it.
Then on the outside, it's Mucho Macho Man. Ron the Greek down toward the rail. Successful Dan on the outside. Cross traffic wandering to the outside. Now ducking back to the inside. Successful Dan, a final try. Here's the wire. And cross traffic will take his place among the top handicapped horses in the country with this victory in the Whitney.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
They line up with a football field to go. Here comes Tonka Warrior and Stagecoach Boys. Tight photo. Also in there, we had Fuerte Ventura, who might have gotten the nose down first.
Model is kicked away. Zenyatta now sees her out in front and comes with her ears cocked, running up alongside of her. And Zenyatta just making it look all too easy. This is simply poetry in motion. Ears cocked, she canters home.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Good morning once again, everyone. It is post time for the show that launched a network, the Equine Forum, all presented by TwinSpires and all right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, happy to have you in the starting gate with me right up until 11 a.m. Eastern on Sirius 216, XM 204, affiliates in Lexington, Louisville, and across the country, and streaming worldwide and podcast on our website, horseracingradio.net, or wherever you are accessing your podcasts. Well, you just heard Trevor Denman with the call of Zenyatta, winning the first of 3 consecutive renewals of the Keeneland Dale Hirsch. That was in 2008. The only 3-time winner of that race, by the way. And the race dates all the way back to 1937, so that's saying something. At that time, the legend of Zenyatta was far from where it would eventually end up being. That victory in the Keeneland Dale Hirsch in 2008 was win number 7 to begin her career. And while starting your career with 7 straight wins is impressive, it's not unheard of. 19 consecutive wins is another story, especially when those 19 wins include 13 Grade 1s, 2 Breeders' Cup victories, including a win against the best males in training in the Breeders' Cup Classic, which Trevor famously described as unbelievable. Trevor's tone in that call of the 2008 Keeneland Dale Hirsch is reflective of what we knew about Zenyatta to that point in her career. And I love to look back on things like this. She was really, really good, but hadn't yet made that leap to being referred to as great. And that's a term thrown around, in my opinion, far too loosely, not just in racing, but in all sports. Certainly in racing, we hear it a lot. Greatness should be reserved for those who do what the majority of others cannot, and they do it for the duration of their respective careers. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Wayne Gretzky, dominant in their respective sports, not just for a season or two, but for the duration of their respective careers. So when Trevor used the words, Zenyatta gets room if she's good enough, but she's got to get to model. That's the way he described what was happening at the top of the stretch in the 2008 Keeneland Dale Hirsch. We didn't know exactly how or if Zenyatta would respond to that challenge. Yeah, she had won 6 in a row going into that race. She was perfect to begin her career, but they all get beat eventually, right? Was this the day Zenyatta was going to come back down to earth and come up empty in the stretch? Well, as we know, it wasn't. And Trevor's genuine exuberance at the end of that call when he says, Zenyatta making it look all too easy, this is simply poetry in motion. That sums up what many people in the sport were thinking at that time. Maybe there is no stopping this filly. Maybe she really is that good. Maybe she is destined for greatness. Well, as we know, Zenyatta turned out to be the very definition of the word great, which, by the way, in case you're wondering, is defined as of ability, quality, or eminence considerably above the normal or average. That is unquestionably Zenyatta. And her trainer, John Shirreffs, will be with me for our Road to the Breeders' Cup segment coming up at 9:40 Eastern this morning. He's going to look back on those 3 consecutive wins in the Clement L. Hirsch, and he'll reflect on her Hall of Fame career. And I also think that if you put together a career which lands you in the Hall of Fame in any sport, you are worthy of the word great to describe you. Of ability, quality, or eminence considerably above the normal or average. And that is certainly the case with the 3 horses who, as of yesterday, now will forever have their plaques displayed in the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame in Saratoga. Arrowgate, California Chrome, and Songbird. And congratulations to those horses and to their connections, along with jockeys Corey Nakatani and Fernando Toro, the Pillars of the Turf, John W. Haynes II, Leonard W. Jerome, and Stella F. Thayer, all getting inducted into the Hall of Fame in Saratoga yesterday. Songbird, you're going to hear more about her coming up in just a few minutes. She is a 2-time Fasig-Tipton sales graduate. She was sold at the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale as a yearling by Hillendale to Fox Hill Farm. Came back at the end of her racing career, was sold at the Fasig-Tipton Kentucky November sale after she became Songbird for $9.5 million by TaylorMade to Whisper Hill Farm Mandy Pope. Going to talk with Fasig-Tipton President and CEO Boyd Browning in just a few minutes at 8:15 Eastern. He'll look ahead to this year's Saratoga sale, which comes your way Monday and Tuesday evenings. It starts at 6:30 Eastern in Saratoga. Is the next Songbird among this year's group that is going to go under the gavel Monday or Tuesday? We'll find out. We'll find out in a couple of years. But Boyd will get a chance to look back on Songbird's career, look back on that special day yesterday, and look ahead to the sale. Price Bell from Millridge, he's hoping that that next Songbird comes from their consignment at the Saratoga sale. He's going to be with me at 8:35 to share his thoughts from the consigner perspective. He'll also talk about a couple of exciting stallions standing at Millridge. 9 o'clock Eastern, Ellis Park Racing Secretary Dan Bork will join me to preview today's Kentucky Downs Preview Day, the first of 2 big preview days with a plethora of stakes races, all tying in to the race meet coming up at Kentucky Downs in late August and early September. 9:20, it is time for Unsung Heroes. This is an Unsung Heroes week here on HRRN, and it's all presented by Woodbine. Tom Law, the managing editor for the Saratoga Special and ST Publishing, will be my guest in that segment. Tom will share his thoughts on today's Saratoga card, and he'll share his thoughts on the media's impact and contributions to thoroughbred racing. Tom, Sean, and Joe Clancy, who are the owners of the Saratoga Special and ST Publishing, do incredible work. They began the Saratoga Special just about the same time 20 years ago that I was starting HRRN. We launched together. We grew together. So when I look at their journey and I see what they have been able to do to promote our sport, yeah, people like Tom and Joe and Sean, very deserving of being referred to as an unsung hero for all the hard work they put in behind the scenes. And then every once in a while you'll see their name published with an article. But that's it. true unsung heroes, and Tom Law will represent them coming up at 9:20, and he'll talk about the card on Whitney Day at Saratoga. And again, going to visit with John Shirreffs coming up at 9:40. 10 o'clock, Vance Hanson will be here with 3 races you can keep an eye on later today. And a little spoiler alert, I think Vance has got a little something planned where he's looking at a trio of upsets later today. And he's going to share those with you at 10 o'clock for that TwinSpires triple play. 10:20, Kurt Becker takes you on his weekly Stroll Through Racing History. Fantastic story about Onion, who 50 years ago this weekend defeated Secretariat in the Whitney. You get a chance to hear that story at 10:20. And at 10:30, Dale and Tim will be joined by a special guest, Michael Riley, who was our contest winner drawn out last week on that very same show. Michael's going to be with Dale and Tim. I'm going to host a fantasy horse racing draft. Each of them have selected a team name. They will draft 5 horses in an alternate selection for their teams. And the contest runs today through Breeders' Cup Saturday. Should be a fun segment coming up at 10:30 Eastern to wind down the show. You won't want to miss that. And again, Michael Riley going to try and take down Dale and Tim in the Showdown II. We're calling it Roman's Revenge since Tim beat him last time. We'll see who gets the top pick. We'll see which strategy they decide to employ in that contest later today. So as you can tell, a busy show, going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to talk about the Fasig sales. We're going to talk about Ellis Park. We're going to talk about Del Mar, Saratoga. It's all ahead on a loaded edition of the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Our friends at Millridge Farm are known for the quality yearlings they offer at auction, having raised or sold 36 Grade 1 winners just since 2000. Once again, they bring a boutique group of 5 yearlings to the Fasig-Tipton Select Sale and 1 to the New York Bred Sale, led by their stallion Oscar Performance and the only 2 of his offspring on offer, including a full brother to $500,000 earner, Red Carpet Ready. In addition, Millridge offers a beautifully bred filly by Omaha Beach, a Blaine filly, and the only yearling in the sale by first-year stallion Complexity. Find your next athlete and possible Grade 1 winner with our friends at Millridge, showing at Barn 5. Here with Joe Brown Nicholson of Nicholson Insurance Agency. Joe, what would be a common misunderstanding between an insured and the insurance company?
Mike, one issue is a policy condition that requires notification when an insured animal becomes sick or injured.
Do you mean in life-threatening situations?
Not just then, but if a veterinarian is called in for treatment other than routine care. Take, for example, if a yearling colt gets his foreleg caught in a fence and tears the skin. The coat is stitched up and everything seems fine, but later the coat develops a systemic infection. Then there is a serious situation that the company knows nothing about.
So the company needs to know, even if it's not a life-threatening situation.
That's right. It's a policy condition. The company has a stake in the health of the animal because of the existing insurance policy. The company might want to have its own vet examine the horse. In most cases, though, just a call or email is all that is needed.
For all your equine and general insurance needs, including farm owners, liability, homeowners, auto, and more, contact Nicholson Insurance Agency at 859-224-7080. You gotta know Joe.
There are plenty of thrills at Gulfstream Park during the Royal Palm Meet with live racing Friday through Sunday and simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. Come out and enjoy the Summit of Speed, the Florida Sire Stakes Series, and a whole lot more. Watch the action from our Trackside Carousel Club, our Feast in 10 Palms restaurant with an elevated view of the track. For stake schedules, reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Mike Smith and Songbird on the inside, now being put to a drive and put to the test for the first time. And on the outside, Karina Mia is even with her. And they're coming into the final furlong. And what a coaching club, American Oaks. Songbird has repelled Karina Mia. Songbird has opened up a 3-length lead. Karina Mia has been left behind. Songbird has whistled past the graveyard of champions, winning the Coaching Club American Oaks by 5 lengths over Karina Mia. And then it was Floridora and Maud Amour. Her final time was 1 minute 49.56 seconds.
Larry Coleman with the call of that Coaching Club American Oaks, the 2-time Fasig-Tipton sales graduate and now Hall of Famer Songbird, a winner of 13 of 15 career starts, more than $4.6 million in earnings. What an incredible career she put together, and she is remembered on this Saturday morning. Mike Penna with you on the Equine Forum presented by TwinSpires. Welcome back. I got so excited talking about Songbird and the great Zenyatta in the opening segment of today's show that I completely forgot to throw out the poll question for you this morning. And this one does not relate to the ladies. It is about the boys, and we'll keep it simple. Who is your pick to win today's Whitney Stakes at Saratoga? Give you the favorite, Cody's Wish. He'll be the sentimental choice, as he is every time he goes to the post, but he's really good. Zandon, Charge It, or Other. And if you do choose Other, if you think it's somebody other than those top 3, let me know. Make a comment on the post and let me know who you think can upset the Whitney later today. It's a short field, but a quality field. Cody's Wish, Zandon, Charge It, or Other. Who is your pick to win today's Whitney? Go to @HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook to let us know your thoughts. And if you don't do social media, that's cool. Email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net, and I will pass along the results of that poll question later in the show. Well, I mentioned that Songbird is a 2-time Fasig-Tipton sales graduate. She started her career where it ends, and that is in the Fasig-Tipton sales ring in the Humphrey S. Finney Sales Pavilion in Saratoga, and that is music to the ears of Boyd Browning, who is the president and CEO of Fasig-Tipton. He's with me now here on HRRN. Boyd, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you today?
Doing extremely well, and excited to see Songbird get in yesterday, along with Arrogate, California Chrome, and all the human participants that were inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's got to be special for you, Boyd, to sit back and to watch one of your graduates go into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, without a doubt, Mike, it's really special. It kind of, it typifies or exemplifies the dream that everybody has when they come to Saratoga for the yearling sale, is to have an opportunity to, possibly acquire a horse that can someday go in the Hall of Fame like Songbird did. I mean, she, was a remarkable, remarkable horse. This type of graduate that you're so, so proud of. And for me personally, it was really special because Rick Porter of Fox Hill Farms was a dear friend. And, I wish he had been able to be here yesterday. Unfortunately, passed a few years ago. But, loved Songbird, and she's just a special filly, and it was really exciting yesterday. A little bit emotional, honestly. I was a little surprised that, even though she was inducted and Betsy Porter was here and so forth, it was a really cool day. And as I said, it kind of, it's what we try to do. You want to have graduates like Songbird and Flightline and so forth that, everybody wants the big horse, and that's what we're all trying to sell or trying to buy and trying to achieve.
Yeah, well, Flightline, also a graduate of that Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale, National Treasure, this year's Preakness winner coming out of the sale. You had Blazing Sevens, Exalted, and the list goes on and on. Those are just recent graduates. There have been so many of the top horses that we've ever seen on the racetrack that have been sold at Saratoga, and all of the connections, not just at Fasig-Tipton, but those who are going to be selling the horses, the consigners and the breeders, all hoping that the next big horse is coming out of the sale Monday and Tuesday evening. So, Boyd, tell me about this year's sale and what people can look forward to on Monday and Tuesday night.
I think we've got as good a catalog as we've ever had, maybe one of the best. The physicals are tremendous. There's a great quality and depth of pedigree. There's also diversity of pedigree. I mean, I went through the catalog a few days ago. We've got 55 stallions represented out of 235 horses. So there's a lot of different opportunities here. There's a lot of horses represented. As I said, I think we're known, frankly, at Fasig-Tipton in our selected sales for the quality of the individuals. And I feel very confident that when potential buyers come on the sales grounds between now and Tuesday night, they're going to go through and look at the physicals and say it's a really, really, really strong group of horses. And we could not literally be more excited. I kind of feel like an 8-year-old on Christmas Eve or 2 days before Christmas because you work all year to put together a sale like this, and it takes the support and the cooperation of, literally hundreds of breeders and sellers and so forth. But we're really excited. As you noted, we've had some serious graduates come out of the sale in recent years, as well as traditionally. And it's Saratoga. I mean, everybody's going to be fired. You get fired up here. You get, the racing is second to none. I heard you talking about the Whitney, great field. You got another great race to test. It's just Saratoga creates interest and enthusiasm for all of us in the industry.
I always liken the Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale to the major leagues or the professional level in any sport. When you think about all of the young kids out there that start out playing sports as youngsters, very, very few. It's a very small percentage, Boyd, that actually go on to play professionally. And that's the way I view the Selected Yearling Sale. You have to be exceptional to get into this sale. So what does the prototypical Saratoga Sales yearling look like?
I think you have to be a little bit careful that there's not an exact prototype. The one thing that I think that we live and die by is balance and athleticism. Horse has to be a good mover. The buyers at this upper end just absolutely want to see the horse walk. They want to see fluidity. They want to see athleticism. They're willing to live with a minor conformational flaw, I think. A horse can toe in a little bit, can toe out a little bit. Passers may not be exactly the perfect length, but they're looking for athleticism. A horse kind of walks out and you say, man, kind of catches your eye. You have to have a reasonably mature horse because, we're still on a kind of the front end of the yearling sales. But we deal with such a sophisticated buying population, particularly at a sale like this, that you don't have to be the absolute, wow. I mean, we've got several May foals in a catalog that I think will sell extremely well, or highly desirable horses that buyers understand. They're able to differentiate between a January foal and a May foal. But it's at the end of the day, the prototype is athletic. Can they move? Can they walk? Do you look at them and think that horse is the type that could end up winning, a Grade 1 race for me?
We talk about Songbird. We talk about Flightline, who are graduates at that sale that we just mentioned that a few moments ago. But the Saratoga sale, Boyd, continues to be ranked as the top North American yearling sale by percentage of Grade 1 winners and Greatest Stakes winners. And we've been saying that for many, many years now. What's the key to that consistency year in and year out with this particular sale?
Well, I think it's a combination of factors. One is the great support of the men and women who are raising and breeding or buying weanlings to pinhooks that recognize that Saratoga is a unique marketplace. So it begins with people giving you the opportunity, the sellers giving you the opportunity to look at high quality yearlings. I think we also have I'm biased, but I think we've got a really, really strong inspection team that generally knows what works in our sales and does a great job of sorting through 2,500 yearlings and helping to identify the right ones that will work at Saratoga and the right ones that will work at July and so forth. And it's honestly, it's a communication, it's building relationships, and it's just working together to continue to try to put the horses in front of people that are special. And, we work really hard at it. But it really begins and ends with the men and women raising the horses or selling the horses that give you the chance to kind of go through there and talk to you and say, what do you think about this and what do you think about that? And we desperately try. We make mistakes all the time about evaluating horses, which ones are going to sell well. But we try to be brutally honest with ourselves. We try to be honest with our customers as well as what type of horse we think will work.
Last month, Boyd, Fasig-Tipton hosted the Kentucky July sale that was held in Lexington, and the sale was rock solid, not quite up to the standards of the year before, which was gangbusters, but really, really solid sale. That kind of sets the stage for the yearling market going forward. So where are we as an industry with this yearling market right now? Where do you see it?
I think you used a good description, solid. When we came off of a spectacular year in 2022 with really dramatic increases in the average price and the median price, particularly at the upper end from 2021. So I think that we're probably we'd be thrilled to maintain the average at Saratoga this year. I'm not sure it's possible based on the strength of the sale last year, and it was just the market was frankly, hard to believe. You had to kind of pinch yourself last year after the Monday and Tuesday night here in Saratoga. But I have great confidence that we've got a really, really, really good group of yearlings. The sales grounds were packed yesterday. I'm literally sitting underneath the tent right now watching people looking at horses, and the right people are here in Saratoga. The right people are looking at horses. So I think that we're going to have a very strong marketplace. I think that the buyers are going to find it very difficult to buy the horses that they want to buy, but they're going to stretch, and the sellers are going to have, you got to know your product, and you've got to be realistic. You can't be greedy, but I think there's going to be a very fair marketplace for both buyers and sellers alike.
We're going to hear from one of those sellers coming up in just a few minutes. Price Bell from Millridge set to join me at 8:35 Eastern. Stay tuned for that conversation. He'll come at this from the consignor's perspective. He'll also talk about a couple of exciting stallions standing at Millridge right now. Boyd, what's it like for you? What do you like most about being the man who is leading a highly prestigious auction company and hosting these prestigious sales year in and year out? What do you enjoy most about that personally?
Oh, no question. It's the people you get to do business with, both buyers and sellers, as well as the people surrounding the sales environment. It's unquestionably the people. It's also, a pleasure. There's a lot of people that would be envious of my work schedule today and this afternoon, having to go to the races and being able to see such wonderful horses running and the Whitney and the Test and the overall great race card. But at the end of the day, it's all about the people. It's about the relationships, and it's about the horse. I mean, if you're involved in this sport or involved in this business, you got a passion for the horse, and you love the beauty of the horse. You love the brilliance of the horse. You love and how it really unites people from all over the world with a common passion. And it's hard to explain to someone who's not involved in the business the connection that you have and the emotions that being around a good horse evoke. You mentioned Songbird at the very beginning, and I'll forever believe that when Rick Porter was campaigning Songbird, he was very sick. And we talked, at least once a week, and I'm convinced that he lived longer because he had a horse like Songbird, that when he was facing adversity and, undergoing a lot of serious medical treatment, the will to live was enhanced by knowing he had one of the best horses in the world. And that's the things that people really don't realize until you kind of get inside the sport is the relationship and the commitment and just the interaction between humans and horses.
No, there's no doubt about it. The outside of a horse is good for the inside of the man, right? Isn't that the saying? I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it is. It's very true.
Well, we're going to see it today. I mean, one of the great stories of our game, and we probably still haven't talked about it enough in terms of national media, is Cody's Wish. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you don't have a heart, if you're not moved and touched by watching the relationship between Cody Dorman and Cody's Wish, and it's amazing. You can't explain it. You just have to watch it, and you say, this is truly unbelievable, and it is. And I think there's a really good possibility and a really good chance that both Codys have a successful day today. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sale begins 6:30 Eastern, Monday and Tuesday evening. If you're going to be in Saratoga, make it out early. What time's the bar open, Boyd?
Bar never closes. I guess I'm not allowed to say that. That's what it seems like. I'm not out late enough to know what time the bar closes because there's too much stuff going on. I got too much to kind of work through. I might be able to tell you what time they close on Tuesday night, but between now and Tuesday night, I won't be closing any bars.
I will never forget visiting with Terrence Collier, longtime, now retired Fasig-Tipton announcer, and the first time I had a chance to sit down and do an interview with him, we talked about what makes the sale successful, and one of the things he mentioned was that atmosphere, the party atmosphere. And he said the best thing for an auction. And again, I'm going to paraphrase here. It was something along the lines of drunken debauchery. He said it is the greatest thing for any auction. And it was so much fun. I'll never forget those words from Terrence.
Yeah, he is a classic, and he is actually helping us again this week. We've got a really strong contingent of Japanese buyers in town for the sale, and Terrence developed a lot of really great relationships in his many years at Fasig-Tipton and made many trips to Japan. So Terrence is on the sales grounds and assisting us and making sure we can provide the highest level of service to our friends from Japan who are so grateful for attending the sale.
Oh, boy, listen, it's Fasig-Tipton all around, a class act. Everybody that's part of that family is just first class. And I know that this sale is going to continue the tradition of the number one sale in America when it comes to Grade 1 winners and Greatest Stakes winners. So continued success, my friend. All the best Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy that tough job that you have to do this weekend with attending the races.
I will. I'll suffer through it, Mike, okay?
I'll be thinking of you.
Okay, please do. Thank you.
All right, Boyd Browning, Fasig-Tipton president and CEO, and they really do. I mean, it's incredible. You can see the entire catalog, by the way, at Fasig-Tipton.com. All right, coming up next, your Legends of the Turf segment, then a short commercial break, and we continue talking about that Fasig-Tipton sale with consignor Price Bell from Millridge. That's next after your Legends of the Turf.
This is the story of a thoroughbred who, without any reservation whatsoever, by name alone, conjures up images of greatness. The greatness and adulation of the American public that is reserved in the very front row of the heroes of sport. That horse was Seabiscuit. There are horses and there are horses, as the saying goes, and although all great horses are fast, not all fast horses are great. This horse is of very special significance because he was indeed one of a mere handful of the past 100 years who, through public adulation, became a true hero in the very ilk of the word itself. His story could well be the prototype of a Horatio Alger story, the consummate personification of the great American dream. In singular microcosm, he was what American racing is indeed all about. Seabiscuit was bred by the Wheatley stable, foaled in 1933 at Claiborne Stud of Arthur B. Hancock. He was the son of Hardtack out of Swing On by Wisbroom II. As a yearling, he was shipped to Hialeah along with several other yearlings by the redoubtable Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons. On January 19, 1935, he went to the post as a 2-year-old for the first time in a claiming event in which he finished a nondescript fourth while earning $50. 3 days later, he ran in another claimer over a distance of 3 furlongs and finished second, beaten 2 lengths by a horse called Clapping Jane. Either Clapping Jane or Seabiscuit could have been claimed from that field for $2,500. Clapping Jane never won again and wound up in Puerto Rico as a broodmare. It took 18 races for Seabiscuit to find a field of horses he could finally beat. That race was at Narragansett Park in Rhode Island for a purse of $750 on June 22, 1935. He then won the Watch Hill Claiming Stakes, named for the posh Rhode Island resort, for which he banked $2,800. He won 4 claiming races and was nearly claimed by Hirsch Jacobs in the process, but Jacobs felt he had highly suspicious knees. If only he knew what he had passed up at the time. Seabiscuit was sold in August of 1936 as a 3-year-old to Mr. Charles S. Howard for $7,500, and an association was born with that is legendary. The purchase was made on the advice of Silent Tom Smith, who, while looking over Seabiscuit, remarked there was, quote, a look of the Eagles, unquote, in him. It took Seabiscuit until the Brooklyn Handicap at the age of 4 to exhibit his championship medal. From that race on, he was sensational. There were 3 occasions subsequently wherein he was defeated through the efforts of a jockey named Nick Wall. Wall got his mount through a hole left on the rail by the Biscuits rider Red Pollard to win by a whisker in the Bowie Handicap at Pimlico in 1937. In the 1938 Santa Anita Handicap, Seabiscuit, carrying 130 pounds, had too much taken out of him by rider Georgie the Iceman Wolf, and Wall brought Stagehand from off the pace for a win. And in 1939, when Wall piloted Today to another win over the Biscuit. Seabiscuit finally realized C.S. Howard's fondest dream by winning the Santa Anita Handicap on his 3rd try in 1940, when Red Pollard again had the mount. That was a well-chronicled, well-remembered race in which 2 superb athletes, both in the twilight of careers, both horse and rider, went out in a blaze of glory before an adoring public. It was the way the script should end, the stuff of a Frank Capra film. Seabiscuit was a favorite stud, but he retired from the racing wars as the world's leading money-winning thoroughbred. From an initial purse of $50 in 1935 and a meteoric rise to success, he was the very fiber of the lore, legend, and mystique of thoroughbred racing.
This is HRRN, horse racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here. Weekend racing returns every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with a first post of 1:30 p.m. Back this year is our popular 12% takeout Pick 5, which is now offered twice daily. We're also introducing the all-new Old Dominion 6, a $1 traditional Pick 6 with a 15% takeout. Join us for our biggest days of the season on August 12th for the Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, which features the Grade 1 Arlington Million, and September 9th as we wrap up the season with the Virginia Derby. Colonial Downs, rich history, bright future.
Tenda Equine and Pet Care products have been keeping world-class equine athletes happy and healthy for generations. Keep your equine athlete looking and performing well with Tenda Next Generation Wound and Skin Care Treatment, along with nutritional supplements, leg and muscle care products, salves, hoof care, poultice, topical aids, and grooming products. Visit tendahorse.com today.
Ellis Park is offering average daily purses of nearly $600,000 and a record $14 million in purses. Kentucky breds will compete for $70,000 in maiden special weight races and up to $80,000 in allowance races. And bettors will love the low 15% takeout Pick 5s and the 20-cent Jackpot Pick 6, along with a daily $3 all-turf Pick 3. For more information, visit EllisParkRacing.com. Ellis Park Pursers are powered by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund. First post, 12:45 p.m. Eastern.
The thrill of world-class racing is just beginning at Toronto's Woodbine Racetrack. Kick off the weekend's action now with racing each Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, beginning at 1:05 p.m. Eastern, with Thursday twilight racing being added on May 25th. With more than $64 million in purses this season, you'll enjoy world-class racing and training facilities with the top turf racing in North America over the prestigious E.P. Taylor Turf Course. You won't want to miss racing at Woodbine. For wagering updates, handicapping tips, racing news, and more, visit woodbine.com.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Jackie's Warriors duking it out here with Special Reserve, and they're about to be joined by Dr. Shibble, and there's three in a line, and following C is coming up the fence trying to get involved. No running room there for him. Dr. Shibble has taken the lead as they come to the final furlong. Jackie's Warrior is given way. Special Reserve. Here's Aloha West flying down the center of the track. Here's the wire. Oh, it's close. Aloha West may have run down Dr. Shibble in the end. Following C was third.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires, right here on the Horse Racing Radio Network, Horse Racing's voice. Mike Penna with you on this Saturday morning, and that was Larry Colmus with the call of the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Dr. Shibble looked as if he may have had it won. That was until the power of Aloha West came and ran him down in the final strides, and Aloha West, the winner of the Breeders' Cup Sprint, now a stallion at Millridge, along with Oscar Performance and Lexington, Kentucky, and joined now by Millridge's Price Bell. Price, good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Doing well. I appreciate you taking time out of what must be a very busy morning for you, showing horses at the Fasig-Tipton sale. But I had to welcome you with that call of the Breeders' Cup Sprint, because it was so thrilling to watch Aloha West just gobble up ground through the stretch and eventually get to the wire.
I mean, it was even more thrilling to listen to it again this morning. I tell you, it was a great way to start the day. I think when you watch it, you forget just how much ground he was gaining, and then to hear Larry call it and not actually call him until the very end, just as demonstrates, the will to win and get to the line first. It was awesome. It was awesome.
I mentioned he joins Oscar Performance as stallions at Millridge. Let's start with the two stallions. I want to talk to you about your consignment and about the Saratoga sale. We just heard from Boyd Browning in the previous segment, but let's talk about the two stallions, and let's start with Aloha West since he's the man in the spotlight for us right now. Take me through the thought process when you're looking to get a new stallion, stand them at stud. What's the thought process on your end, and why was Aloha West such a good fit for you guys?
I think when you're standing stallions, it's all about the team, right? And Eclipse Thoroughbreds are as good a team as there can be. Aaron does a phenomenal job identifying talent, and then nurturing it through their program. Aaron and Brian and Sean are just great teammates. And, we'd identified and we had a relationship with Wayne Catalano through the years. Love Wayne. He also had trained the first winner for Oscar Performance as luck would have it. But last Derby time, Wayne was like, you guys have got to look at this horse. He's a serious racehorse, Aloha West, coming off the Breeders' Cup, but he's just a seriously talented horse. So saw him then, really liked him, that was when he was going for the race on Derby Day. That was a little disappointing, but then he came back and he runs very well in the Kelly's Landing, and you're like, wow, this is a very good racehorse. And then as the year progresses, working with Aaron and everybody, it's like, this is a really serious racehorse that we believe in and we believe, deserves a shot at stud. And Dad and I were like, absolutely. He's gorgeous. Love him as a racehorse. We spent a lot of time, have a great friendship with Ben Glass, who identified him as a yearling and trained him early in his career with Bob Baffert. And, Bob loved the horse as a 2-year-old, and then he got shins, and it was like, backed off of him. And then he had a little fracture that he needed a screw, but Bob always thought he had tremendous talent. So for us, that's kind of enough. We thought he was a brilliant racehorse with his win in the Breeders' Cup. Thought he put together is a very attractive horse that breeders would like, and then thought that his pedigree was very interesting and appropriate. He doesn't resemble a hard spun so much. He really throws back to his mother's side in Speightstown, who we've loved from the Gone West days, and think that he's really let down into a beautiful animal, and hopefully something that breeders can get lucky with, and that we can all get lucky with. So,
and he's a great complement to Oscar Performance. You think about Aloha West winning the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and you think about Oscar Performance and his success in the Breeders' Cup on the turf. So they complement each other beautifully and give breeders just different options, if you will.
Absolutely.
I think that's
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely, and they're a great complement to each other. And then Oscar Performance has certainly gotten off to a start at stud that we could have only dreamed about. Just the diversity of the success of his offspring, from turf to dirt to early as 2-year-olds, and now he's continuing on as 3-year-olds, and doing very well. So it's been incredible. The support from breeders this past year was just was really exceptional and most appreciated, and we hope that it continues. As you know, in this game, it can go any given weekend, it can change on you, but so far it's been very rewarding. So
every time I do the voiceovers for the Millridge commercials price, I always say that Millridge has raised or sold 36 Grade 1 winners just since 2000. How come, man? What's the key to all that consistent success?
Well, I think it's the team that you have that that have been so dedicated to Millridge, and my grandmother and father, and our family, and then the land has been outstanding, and just the methodologies of raising horses to outside, to be tough, to be with each other. We very much believe that the race is a manifest of the herd dynamics, and the more that we can keep them out playing, the more we can instill in them a desire to be competitive. So, and then look, we're also just one part of the chain. The people who we've bred and raised for, and the people who bought from us and trust us, and then the trainers who take care of them every day, and our customers. I mean, we're just one piece, and it takes every link to get to those high days, right? And then after you have that success, all you want to do is have it again, right? So it keeps waking you up every morning to keep swinging. So
you mentioned the herd aspect, and horses are herd animals. It's important. I've heard this from other people too, and you just mentioned it. It's important to have them around other horses, especially earlier in their careers. So Talk about that approach and how important it really is to get them out there and what that does for horses, for racehorses at a very young age.
Well, we give a few tours on the farm, and so I often describe our methodology as we're like the Montessori of nurseries, right? So we're play-based. We want horses to play. We want them to play and learn from each other, be competitive, but at the same time engaging humans into it so that they trust us, right? And that we work with each other, right? So that's, I think, the fine balance, right? You want them to be, quote, wild and to still have that, natural desire, but then at the same time trusting humans so that we're going after a task together. And so we hope that, that when horses leave us, that as they go to be taught how to be ridden, that they're accepting of rider readily, and that they know that, that they're on a quest together to get to the finish line first. So that's the goal. So
how long does it take a young horse to start trusting a human being?
Oh, it starts on day one, right? So, when the foal is born, you're in there and you're drying it off, you're engaging yourself with its mother. And then it's great. When it's with its mom, you're leading the horse to and from the field, you're, picking up its feet, you're brushing it, you're doing all those things. And then when you wean, so then you're separating the mares from the foals, they forget all their manners. They become like middle school boys. My wife and I have an 8-year-old son, and so right now he's right at that stage where we're like, oh man, you're just like you're forgetting all your manners. We gotta remind. So, and then they'll go through the weaning process, and then they'll kind of relearn as they enter kind of a sales prep, and then you're starting to ask them to do a lot more with you, right? So when you show them, when you're walking them, you want them to walk with you. You want them to walk at an athletic swagger so that prospective buyers can fall in love and look at your horse and say, this is going to be the next one. So in this case, hopefully people are looking at them saying, well, this could be number 40, right? We just have to get 4 more grade ones between now and next year, which is always the dream, right?
Hey, maybe all 4 are in this consignment coming up Monday and or Tuesday. Who knows? I'm talking with Bryce Bell from Mill Ridge, and they are showing horses now at the Saratoga sale, and it is going to be busy. Let's talk about the horses you're going to be offering. You talked about the fact that horses will mature. They'll go through different stages. Where do you see these are selected yearlings? I talked about this with Boyd in the first segment. These are selected yearlings. It is hard to get a yearling to this sale because they have to check so many boxes. So tell me about the yearlings you're offering here and why they fit at Saratoga, Price.
Well, Fasig-Tipton does just a great job being great teammates. They come out in April and they, assess, we'll introduce them to a lot of horses. We'll nominate a lot of horses, and they'll help assess them from there about what will meet the cut and what will be a nice horse in Saratoga, right? It takes a horse that you're going to ship up to New York. You're going to have a lot of showing. There's more time here than there is any other sale, and that can be good and bad, right? There's more time to fall in love, or there's more time to fall out of love. So it depends on the relationship you want to have. Mm-hmm. But I think to Fasig's great credit, when we first had the first crop of Oscar performances, we showed them probably 15 on the farm, and we said, look, we'd really like to take 1 or 2 up to Saratoga so that we can share with breeders and prospective breeders about why we love the horse, why we believe in Oscar performance, et cetera. And they picked out a filly named who has now since been named Red Carpet Ready. And she was, a lovely horse. And we came up here, thinking that she was a lovely horse, but, reasonable expectations. And she was very popular, and she sold for $180,000 and went on to has won, a grade 3, a grade 2, and was, is a serious racehorse. And that was, we showed Fasig a lot of Oscar performances. They picked out her, and they picked out another one named G. Laurie, who was third in a grade 1 at 2 last year. So they're great teammates to showcase, talent and to bring, buyers together, and not for a lot of money. G. Laurie was a $80,000 purchase, and Red Carpet Ready was $180,000. But those were successful sales for us. They were more than we expected for them. And to Fasig's credit, they helped, encourage us to bring them along up here and really demonstrate, nice athletic horses.
Yeah, and it puts to rest the common misconception of thoroughbred racing, the sport of kings, right? That you have to spend more than $1 million on a horse in order to be successful. You talk about those purchase prices. Well, not inexpensive by any stretch of the imagination. They weren't $1 million yearlings, and here they are, going on to great careers. And we see that all the time in this game.
Absolutely, and that's where Fasig, I think, does a phenomenal job of screening your horses, right? I mean, it wouldn't. The expectations are very high for an Into Mischief out of a Grade 1 winner, right? But to go and find great, talented, graded stakes performing horses for less than $200,000 and putting them on in this showcase is a great tip of the hat to the Fasig team. So. This year we've brought 5 up here. We've got 4 fillies and a colt, and we actually have a full brother to Red Carpet Ready, who we're very excited to show. We've actually sold Red Carpet Ready, and we sold a full sister to her last year, and now we're selling the full brother. So, hopefully third time's the charm, and maybe we'll get 200,000 this year because we haven't gotten it yet, but we'll see.
Hey, this may be the year. This may be the year. Yeah.
But if not, I know it'll go, that he will, go to a good home, and, because people who, buy from here have done their homework, they've spent the time, and they're excited about the opportunity going forward. So
those Oscar Performance yearlings are joined by a Blame filly, a filly by Complexity, and a filly by Omaha Beach, all selling through Millridge Sales, and you can visit them in barn number 5 at the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale. Make sure you stop by and tell Price you heard him on the radio here. He knocks it out of the park every time he comes on. And Price, I really do appreciate it. All the best at the sale, man. Go get it done and enjoy every minute.
Well, thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate it. It's a beautiful day of racing. I think the weather's going to clear, and we just have a lot to celebrate in this beautiful game. You and Michelle do a phenomenal job promoting, and we just appreciate you very much.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Say hello to your dad for me, too.
I'll do it. Have a great one.
Price Bell, Millridge. You talk about class acts and people that do things the right way. Price, Headley, the entire Bell family. And that's nothing new. They've been doing it for a very long time. So all the best to them coming up in the Saratoga Sale. All right, when I come back, I'm going to tell you about a very unique promotion that One Racetrack is doing. You won't want to miss that, and then I'll get you ready for hour number 2. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
With every race, every stride and sprint, winning is everything, especially when you've dedicated everything you have to get there. But winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race is just the beginning of something bigger. An invitation to one of the most anticipated events in horse racing, the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race turns a finish line into the start of your legacy, a starting gate into the world stage, one race into once in a lifetime. Winning earns you an automatic starting position in a Breeders' Cup race, entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup, a nominator award of $10,000, and a travel award of up to $40,000. When it comes to cementing your legacy, winning a Breeders' Cup Challenge Series race is just the beginning. View the schedule of Challenge Series races happening around the world and learn more at breederscup.com/challenge.
Attention horsemen, the 2023 Claiming Crown is coming to the fairgrounds in New Orleans on Saturday, December 2nd. The 25th Claiming Crown features 8 races totaling $1 million in base purses, headlined by the $200,000 Claiming Crown Jewel at 1 1/8 miles. The deadline to make horses eligible for the Claiming Crown is November 18th, with entries to be taken November 25th. Eligibility request forms and more information is available at claimingcrown.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Trainer Talk, presented by Fasig-Tipton.
Please join me in welcoming Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher.
Hall of Fame trainer Nick Zito on Trainer Talk. Welcome Hall of Famer Bob Baffert to the program. Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee, nice enough to spend some time with us. Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott here on Trainer Talk.
Dual Hall of Fame trainer Mark Cassie.
Trainer Talk, the biggest names in horse racing. Wednesdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern on Sirius 216, XM 204, and streaming live at horseracing.radio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
And yes, sir, General Sir's opening up. He's opening up. He's got a 3-length lead at the quarter pole. Roses and May, second on the outside. Peace Rules has dropped back. Perfect Drift on the far outside is coming on now. And Bowman's Band is there too. Into the final furlong. Nothing left for Yes Sir, General Sir. Here's Roses and May. Here's Perfect Drift. Perfect Drift and Roses and May. Roses and May, unwavering determination. Perfect Drift is surging. Short lead. Roses and May, dead game. Here's the wire. Roses and May in a spectacularly game performance to win by a nose over Perfect Drift.
What a race. That was the 2004 Whitney. Tom Durkin had the call. Roses and May and the hard-knocking Perfect Drift hitting the wire almost together, but it was Roses and May who got his nose to the wire first for trainer Dale Romans. That was 19 years ago this weekend. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that might have been Dale's first Grade 1 win of his career. Special day for him, and you're going to hear more from Dale coming up in the final segment of today's show at 10:30 Eastern. I ask, they answer. Dale joined by Tim Wilkin, typically to debate the hottest topics in the sport. I throw some questions at them. Not going to be the case today. We've been telling you for the past several weeks about the Showdown II, a fantasy sports type of competition where Dale, Tim, and one lucky listener who was drawn last week, Michael Riley from New York, is going to join them live in the final segment of the show. All three of them will draft their stables, their teams for the competition, which begins later today with the racing this afternoon, not just at Saratoga, but all over the country. Their horses will earn points based on where they finish, and that competition runs through Breeders' Cup Saturday. We'll see who ends up walking away with the top prize in that one. Should be fun. The Showdown 2, we're billing it as Roman's Revenge, since Dale was beaten by Timmy in the first showdown that we ran going into the Belmont Stakes. We'll see who walks away this time. But Dale looking to pull off another shocker in the Whitney later today with Giant Game. He's the longest shot in the field, 20-1 on the morning line. This one would be a much bigger upset than Roses and May. Maybe more along the lines of Keen Ice upsetting American Pharaoh when Dale pulled that one off in the Travers. We'll see. Giant Game's going to have his running shoes on. Dale, confident as always, but he's up against it with the likes of Cody's Wish. That is the poll question today, by the way. Who is your pick to win today's Whitney Stakes? Cody's Wish, the morning line favorite, Zandon, Charge It, or other? And so far, 72% of HRRN Nation going with Cody's Wish. And you can continue to vote at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook. Larry in Louisville says Zandon would be the pick in today's race, and Tom in St. Louis emails in and says Charge It is going to win the Whitney for Todd Pletcher. And by the way, if Todd can pull that off, he's going to be tied at the top of the trainer standings for most wins all time in the Whitney. So we'll see. But Cody's Wish, if he handles the mile and an eighth, going to be a tough out in that race later this afternoon. Some really good racing coming up at Ellis Park. Going to be joined by Ellis Park Racing Secretary Dan Bork in just a few minutes to talk about Kentucky Downs Preview Day number 1. There are 3 tremendous turf stakes going to be run at Ellis as a lead-in to that Kentucky Downs meet coming up in late August and early September. So I'll welcome Dan to the program shortly. Also going to have our Unsung Hero this week. That is Tom Law of the Saratoga Special and ST Publishing. Tom and the team, Sean and Joe Clancy, do great work behind the scenes, but then, they put all this great content out there for horse racing fans, and we'll get a chance to talk with Tom coming up at 9:20 Eastern. At 9:40, going to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup with John Shirreffs, the man who conditioned Zenyatta to 3 consecutive wins in the Clement L. Hirsch, 19 straight victories to begin her career. And John going to be with me at 9:40 to talk about those 3 wins in the Clement L. Hirsch, and then talk about his contender in this year's race. Not Zenyatta-like by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be an upset if he can pull it off, but we'll see. That's why they run the race. So I'll talk to John at 9:40. A quick word for the folks at Emerald Downs, because August 13th is Championship Sunday at Emerald. It's Washington's biggest day of racing. They have 4 stakes races, the $50,000 Muckleshoot Derby. You have the Washington Oaks. You have the Emerald Distaff and the 88th running of the $150,000 Long Acres Mile. You can play the All-Stakes Pick 4 for just 50 cents, and post time on August 13th is 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. 1 week later, on August 20th, the world-famous T-Rex races return to Emerald Downs, and this year you can be part of the fun. That's right. Everyone with an inflatable T-Rex costume can compete. The winner will be crowned World Champion T-Rex. So mark that on your calendar, August 20th. You might want to make a trip to the Great Northwest and Emerald Downs to see if you can compete to be named World Champion T-Rex. And I said I was going to get through that without breaking up, but that is a fantastic promotion. Should be a fun day at Emerald Downs. Go to emeralddowns.com for all the details and to purchase tickets. Don't miss all of the August fun only at Emerald Downs. All right, hour number 2 of the Equine Forum coming your way next, right after I pause 10 seconds for station identification. And this is the Horse Racing Radio Network.
This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back, hour 2 of 3. Mike Penna, Baron in the backstretch, continuing on this Saturday morning. If you missed any portion of the first half of the program, the first third of the program, hour 1, my conversation with Boyd Browning, the president and CEO of Fasig-Tipton, or with Price Bell from Millridge, talking about the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Selected Yearling Sale, which comes your way Monday and Tuesday. All you have to do is head to our website, horseracingradio.net. You can listen to the podcast at your leisure. Once we finish up at 11 a.m. Eastern, it will be posted. You can also listen on every podcast platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Podbean or Google, whatever it might be. However you're getting your podcasts, make sure you check out Horse Racing Radio Network and listen to all of our shows, all of our interviews, so much of our content broken out individually for you as well. If you want to listen to specific segments, you can do that, such as I Ask, They Answer, or Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History. All of those segments available for you to listen to via podcast. Don't forget to weigh in on the poll question today. Who is your pick to win the Whitney Stakes at Saratoga? And again, Cody's Wish, far and away the leader in the clubhouse right now. 72% of you saying it is going to be Cody's Wish, the favorite, who walks away with the top honors this afternoon at the Spa. Keep those votes coming at HRRN on Twitter, Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, or email the show, mike@horseracingradio.net. 9 races taking place in Western Kentucky this afternoon at Ellis Park. 3 stakes races. They are races 7, 8, and 9. It is Kentucky Downs Preview Day number 1. And the man and his team who put it all together is Dan Bork. He's the racing secretary at Ellis. He's with me now on the Horse Racing Radio Network. Dan, good morning, my friend.
What's happening, Mike? You doing all right?
Yeah, good to talk to you, brother. Big day at Ellis Park, huh? At the Pea Patch.
That's a big weekend. It's a big weekend. Yeah, 2 great days. Excited about it. It's, this weekend's coming together pretty strong. It's been growing over the last few years, and this one is probably ranks up as the best yet. So hopefully Mother Nature will behave and let us run on a good firm turf too.
Yeah, those 3 stakes races today, and then 4 more coming up tomorrow at Ellis Park, so a total of 7 over the 2 days. And when you look at the field sizes, let's just focus on today's program for a minute, Dan. Oftentimes people are complaining that bettors have to bet on short fields and there's no horse population and we can't fill races. Look at the 3 stakes today. 10 races, 10 horses, 13 horses, 12 horses. No shortage of horses there in those stakes races.
No, like I said, this is what this weekend is kind of starting to really produce, and a lot of people, looking forward to the lucrative money at Kentucky Downs, and this just sets them up to it. This is a all expense paid trip to get a freebie at entry into Kentucky Downs. So if you win here, you've got an automatic berth into the corresponding race there. So it's rewarding, and people, they look forward to that, because it is difficult to get into Kentucky Downs. So here's your step in there. And, the money's good. The purse money's getting stronger here in Kentucky, and this weekend's just proving it.
We see these win-in-you're-in programs popping up all over now, and I think, starting with what happened with Breeders' Cup, with the launch of the Breeders' Cup Challenge Series, and now many tracks like Ellis Park taking advantage of that and saying, hey, we can do this and tie into other races at our venues or whatever the case might be. But, Dan, from your perspective as the racing secretary, when you're recruiting horses to run in these races, how important is it to be able to say, hey, it's a win and you're in for the next level?
Yeah, it's an automatic berth. I mean, it's, you look at the races at Kentucky Downs, and, every race has overfilling. So it's good. These aren't graded stakes, so you're not getting the grade 2 or grade 3, but, hopefully in a couple of years they will be graded, and they're getting close. So, that obviously gives you an automatic berth too, with, getting in most stakes. Graded stakes winners are preferred, but these are not. But, with our relationship with Kentucky Downs and the transferring of money, they help sponsor this day. They send us, close to $4 million a year, and this helps pay for it. This helps boost the purses, and we're looking to grow on it again next year too, get these a little bit higher, and then eventually they will be graded.
Not only are these races full fields, but they do have quality runners in them too. So just on the surface, you would look at this and say, my goodness, it has to be a graded stakes. So what things need to happen in order for races like the stakes we're going to see this weekend to be graded?
Well, first, it's good to have graded stakes winners running it. Then that boosts up your rating a little bit. And then after that, if they were to go on and win and, win a race here, then go on and win a graded stakes, that also helps it. So it's just the number of graded winners you have run, and then horses that go on to become graded stakes winners. So if you win here and then go to win at Kentucky Downs, in a graded stake, then that helps this race, and obviously it'll boost theirs as well. So that's the key to getting the race graded. Obviously, the purse money and placement of the race makes it too. You don't want to plop races right on top of each other, and you're stuck with 5-horse fields and stuff like that. But these are pretty solid. We do have the pucker up. We've transferred from Arlington here, so that's going to be our first graded stake we've run here in years. So we're looking forward to that tomorrow, the grade 3. And that's a pretty solid race as well. So I think that the Turf Cup, a mile and a quarter, is a great race. I think they're all really good. So it should be a great weekend, and looking forward to some big runners coming out of these and going on to Kentucky Downs.
Yeah, talk to me about racing in Kentucky as a whole, Dan, because that's something that I am always preaching about here on the show. The purse money now, it's just so lucrative to race here. I mean, that helps everybody. It helps breeders. It helps owners. It helps trainers. Talk about that and the state of racing in Kentucky now with these high purses we're seeing all over.
100%. I mean, right now Kentucky is where it is. I mean, you with the circuit we're building now, the Churchill Downs owns Turfway, and now we're under the umbrella here at Ellis. It's never been better here in Kentucky, and you just look at the purse structure we have here. That's thanks to transferring of money from Churchill Downs, transfer of money from Kentucky Downs to keep these levels where they are, and it's important to have them so this way our circuit stays strong all year. So Turfway and Ellis are now not just a second tier track. It's we're right up there, and we try to keep as many horses in Kentucky as we can, and trying to get more here and just make the whole circuit as strong as can be. So It is exciting, and I mean, obviously, I've been here a while and a long time in Kentucky, and this is kind of what we work for. Between me and Ben and Tyler, we're trying to do this and make Kentucky, the place where you want to be, and it's finally coming together, and it's great. Everybody's all on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're there. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Dan Bork is the racing secretary at Ellis Park. Kentucky Downs Preview Day number 1 today. Huge day tomorrow, too, with those other stakes races and the Grade 3 pucker up that Dan just mentioned. Dan, tell me about some of the main storylines in those races coming up later today, some of the big-name horses that you've attracted or big-name connections in any way.
Well, I like to look at tomorrow, in the Turf Cup, just being down here at Ellis, you kind of look for sort of the local favorites, somebody to root for. And, last year we had, Kitadan for Eric Foster, who won the Dueling Grounds Derby last year at Kentucky Downs. He's back in the Turf Cup. And him and Jason Barkley with Spooky Channel. So they're two locals from here. So, you kind of have I want everybody to win, but, you get a little rooting interest there for these guys, just being locals. So that's a good storyline right there between those two horses. And, all the races are solid. So, I mean, you can kind of pick them apart yourself and, just betting on it is going to be great. I think we've got a cross-country pick 5 with Saratoga also tomorrow. 3 stakes here and 2 of their races there, so that should be pretty good too. So, like I said, and then next weekend we've got the all dirt weekend. We got the Ellis Derby with 6 stakes next weekend too. So this weekend's great, and then next Sunday is going to be just as strong, I think. So we're starting to put those fields together now, and hopefully we'll have a good weekend. And also that weekend it'll be aftercare weekend. There'll be 6. Aftercare people here, so between like Second Stride and New Vocations and Fields of Ferdinand, we'll have making donations to retired racehorses. So that's also big for us down here as well.
Yep, yeah, so important to help those horses that after their racing careers conclude, they go on to a good home, and those people do wonderful work finding them second careers and finding them other homes. And I'm so glad to hear that Ellis Park is doing those types of things too. I did a promotion a short time ago for Ellis Park and for Emerald Downs, Dan, and they have their Long Acres Mile Day coming up here in a couple of weeks, and they are on August 20th. They are hosting a promotion, the world famous T-Rex races. And anyone with a T-Rex costume can compete in those races, and the winner is going to be crowned world champion T-Rex. I think that's one of the greatest racetrack promotions I've ever seen. What are some of the greatest ones you can think of?
I think you have a costume, don't you?
I don't need a costume. I look like a T-Rex.
Oh, jeez.
You've seen me?
I mean, I wouldn't say that, but... last week we did the Wiener Dogs here, and that was huge. I mean, everybody loves the Wiener Dogs. I saw they had the Grandpa Racing a few weeks ago. That was pretty interesting. I'll be wary to do it here when it's 100 degrees. I don't know if that's a good idea, but there's always some good stuff here going on. We've got a lot of good promotions. Like I said, Wiener Dogs are huge here. We ran 20 of them across the track at one time. It was pretty fun.
I love it. That's fantastic. Dan Bork, Racing Secretary at Ellis Park, visiting with me here on this Saturday morning. Dan, let me ask you a couple of questions about that Grade 3 pucker up tomorrow, because that's another solid field, mile and an eighth on the grass. And you mentioned the significance of having that greatest stakes race. Of course, you had the Stephen Foster that was run there earlier this season that was transferred from Churchill Downs. But this race coming from Arlington, that has to be special. I mean, there's a lot of people right now mourning the loss of Arlington Park, and to have the pucker up, continue on at Ellis Park has to be pretty special.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I spent a lot of years at Arlington myself, so I do like it being here. The race is great. It's well represented. Guys like Chad Brown, Vicky Oliver, Stidham, Mike McCarthy, McPeak. So it's a pretty good bunch of 3-year-old fillies there. And I think, we were talking earlier about horses that are not graded stakes winners yet, but will be, and then will go on to become better. I think you're going to see a few of them in here that are just, getting their career started, with between like Frontal Attack and Bling and Safine for Keneally. Louis Saez coming to ride her. So, yeah, it is exciting. I have a grade 3 here. It's been a while since a race was graded here, so that for me makes me happy too. So
I think it's
more as we go on.
I think it's very impressive too that you have some of these horses, well, a lot of these horses really, from the connections of like Chad Brown, who's so prominent up at Saratoga right now, that you're able to draw these big fields, put together these big fields when you have a meet like Saratoga going on in Del Mar on the West Coast. And I know that's probably not affecting you as much, but man, to be able to hang your hat and say we have 10 horses, 13 horses, 12 horses in all these stakes races, that's impressive with all these other big meets going on.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, but it's not the grade ones where, you're banging heads against the best in the country. So these are, a little lesser quality, so you might get a little bigger field. So, but still great, very competitive and great races to wager on. And like I said, these horses will be future grade ones in the future. So it's something to look forward to.
Yep. Well, Dan, it's going to be a special weekend. Congrats to you and the team for putting the whole card together. And I know a lot of people will be watching and wagering with those big fields. So appreciate the time this morning, my friend, and keep it rolling.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy the weekend. Dan Bork, the racing secretary at Ellis Park here on HRRN. And, yeah, it's not just about today. Those big races coming up tomorrow, that grade 3 pucker up is going to be really good, very competitive. When you flip back through the morning lines on those races, you don't have the 3 to 5 favorites, the 2 to 5 favorites. So not only are they big fields, they're going to offer great betting opportunities as well. So keep that in mind when you're looking ahead to Ellis Park later today and tomorrow. All right, coming up next, going to be joined by our unsung hero this week. That is Tom Law, the managing editor with ST Publishing, Saratoga Special. I'll talk to him next. Unsung Heroes, presented by Woodbine, comes your way right after this on the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race to TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Our friends at Millridge Farm are known for the quality yearlings they offer at auction, having raised or sold 36 Grade 1 winners just since 2000. Once again, they bring a boutique group of 5 yearlings to the Fasig-Tipton Select Sale and 1 to the New York Bred Sale, led by their stallion Oscar Performance and the only 2 of his offspring on offer, including a full brother to $500,000 earner, Red Carpet Ready. In addition, Millridge offers a beautifully bred filly by Omaha Beach, a Blaine filly, and the only yearling in the sale by first-year stallion Complexity. Find your next athlete and possible Grade 1 winner with our friends at Millridge, showing at Barn 5. Hey everyone, it's the Baron with this week's North of the Border report presented by Woodbine Entertainment. Aim for the Sky aims for the top prize in today's $150,000 Vice Regent Stakes at Woodbine. Trained by Steve Shirreffs, who co-owns with Eric Ross, Aim for the Sky will test the stakes ranks for the first time after being claimed by Shirreffs last October. Aim for the Sky debuted with a pair of runner-up efforts in 2020 and went on to break his maiden in his 5th start in November of that year, but consistency has been the hallmark for the gelding, who has finished in the top 3 in his past 5 races, a streak that includes this winning performance last time out.
Reaching the quarter pole in front of Aim for the Sky and above par. A length Emma Crack waiting on the insides, had the run of the race. And then Sir Seamus as they turn, and now Aim for the Sky in front by a length, and clearing is Emma Crack on the outside. Has the space to drive up and down the outer. Sir Seamus, Western Trouble from the clouds. Here comes Emma Crack to test this leader. Aim for the Sky's holding and is holding well. And Rico Walcott on Aim for the Sky is going on down to the wire here as they reach it. Aim for the Sky, a long neck, has defeated a Game Crack. Behind them, Western Trouble and Sir Seamus. The rest were never in it. 57.88.
Other starters in today's Vice Regent include multiple stakes winners Rock Crest and Silent Runner. The Vice Regent goes as race 9 on the 11-race card. First post is 1:05 p.m. And that's your North of the Border report for this Saturday morning. For more updates and racing information, visit woodbine.com or follow along on both Twitter and Instagram at WoodbineTB.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Heroes in the world of sports are not uncommon, oftentimes thrusting themselves into the limelight through unimaginable feats.
Back behind the ball, Woods puts it.
And in! He has done it! Tiger is back! Tiger is back on top! Tiger Woods, the 2019 Masters champion!
And breathtaking performances.
Here's how you count to 8. 3, 2, 1. And for the 8th time, college basketball's national championship trophy is coming home to Kentucky.
But behind every great hero, there are others. Individuals who play a crucial role in the achievements of those we read about in the headlines. The ultimate team players, content to stand behind the curtain, embracing their place as a vital part of a sport's success. In horse racing, these are the unsung heroes.
Yeah, the sport filled with unsung heroes, and quite typically I'll get a chance to visit with a groom, an exercise rider, a starting gate crew member, somebody who works on the farms, foaling horses. That's where it all begins. That there are so many people in the game that do wonderful work and bust their tail every single day to make this sport a success, but you never hear about the work that they do. And that's what this segment is designed to do. My thanks to Woodbine for their sponsorship of this segment and making it all possible. We bring it your way every other week. Tom Law is with the Saratoga Special and ST Publishing. That is a company that is owned by Sean and Joe Clancy. Tom is going to join us momentarily. We are working on getting a hold of Tom right now, get a chance to talk to him. And I wanted to have Tom on, number one, to talk about the Saratoga program today. Because, of course, it's Whitney Day, Breeders' Cup, win and you're in. But you have the Grade 1 test, you have the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby Invitational, the Grade 3 Troy, and the Lure Stakes, all part of that program today. 12 races coming up at the Spa. But I think talking to Tom about the work that so many people in the media do in presenting our sport and covering our sport. Listen, I've been around it now more than 20 years and on the media side of things. And I've watched so many people, whether they're writing about the sport or they're photographing the sport or they're doing social media for the sport, whatever the case might be. And I watch how hard they work and how much time and effort they put into covering our game. And so I think that on behalf of all media, who you don't often hear about unless there's something going on negatively, but they work tirelessly behind the scenes to present our sport in a positive way. And that's why I want to get a chance to visit with Tom here. We'll get a hold of him momentarily. Looking forward to talking with him, if indeed he's not busy here this morning. But I want to recognize Tom and all the people at ST Publishing and This Is Horse Racing as an unsung hero. The card. By the way, the poll question here this morning, let me update you on that before I jump into my thoughts on this card, and in particular the Whitney. The Whitney is the topic of our poll question this morning. And I asked you who was your pick to win the Whitney. Kept it very simple, gave you the favorite, Cody's Wish, Zandon, Charge It, or other. And if you choose other, go ahead and comment and let me know who you think that's going to be. So far, 72% saying it's going to be Cody's Wish. Jay chimes in and says Cody is not going to lose. Single him with long shots in your pick 3, 4, or 5 and save some money. Really, the only question mark for Cody's Wish is the distance, but it doesn't appear as if that would be an issue. He's game. He's gutsy. And yes, the storyline surrounding Cody's Wish and Cody Dorman is fantastic. But the horse himself is tough as nails. He's won 9 of 13 starts with a second and 3/3. If you're looking for a chink in the armor, maybe trying to play against Cody's Wish, who's 1-2 on the morning line, and yes, I think from a wagering perspective, you have to bet against him if you're going to bet that race. You're not going to make any money betting on Cody's Wish. But if you're looking for a chink in the armor, maybe it's the fact that his record at Saratoga, 3 starts, 1 win, 2/3. Maybe if Cody's Wish is going to be vulnerable, maybe it's at Saratoga. But keep in mind, the 2 third-place finishes came earlier in his career. We saw him last year winning the Forgo at 7/8 of a mile. Had no problem that day. That was part of this 6-race win streak that Cody's Wish is now on. He's tough. He's tough. And again, the question is going to be the distance, the 2 turns. How will he handle that? What are we going to see from Cody's Wish in this race later today? If Cody's Wish, let's say he doesn't fire his best shot. Let's say the distance gets to him. Let's just play devil's advocate. Well, who's the horse that you can make some money on in there? Is it Zandon? I don't know. Zandon's a horse that's ultra consistent, but he rarely wins. He's always around, but he rarely wins. And horses like that will drain your bankroll. Now, in his defense, he's been racing with top company his entire career. He's been knocking on the door. Is today the day he breaks through? Quite possibly. But I think, again, from a wagering perspective, how much stock do you put in a horse like Zandon? Can you bet him with any kind of confidence? What about Charge It? He wins a little more often than Zandon, but he's a horse that's always had this great ability, great potential, always has great hype when he makes it to the races. Put it together last time out in the Grade 2 Suburban. Can he duplicate that form? Again, not the most reliable of horses that you're going to get to bet, but he's not bad. 10 starts, 4 wins, 3 seconds. What's wrong with that? Is he good enough today? He has a tactical advantage over Cody's Wish and over Zandon. Both of them will likely be coming from a bit further back. But Charge It, when he's at his best, is either on the lead or stalking. He's going to have to contend with Giant Game, just to his outside, who his last 2 starts showed some early zip, and both of those coming in victories. I mentioned Dale Romans trying to win this race for the first time and the only other time since he won with Roses in May 19 years ago. Roses in May also came out of the Cornhusker before winning the Whitney, just like Giant Game is going to do. Is he a horse that can pull off the upset? He's in great form right now. You look at his last 4 races, they've all been really, really good, including those 2 wins. But now he steps up in competition in a big way. Will that form transfer? Last Samurai, what do you do with him? Again, a horse that's been picking up checks and winning in Grade 3 competition, but when he gets to this level, hasn't quite been able to break through. We know White Abarrio has grade 1 potential. He might be the one that you look at as being the upsetter in here. 6-1 on the morning line. It's fair value. You get Gerardo Ortiz Jr., not trained by Saffie Joseph Jr. anymore. He was transferred to Rick Dutrow. He'll be the trainer of record this afternoon. But when you take a look at what White Abarrio did when he ran against Cody's Wish and Zandon in the Metropolitan last time out, stumbled at the start, made that nice run to get up for third, just ahead behind Zandon, after stumbling at the start. And his numbers, I'm a big fan of the Brisnet past performances, his numbers all the way through. Early pace, mid pace, late pace, which I'm a huge fan of, all really competitive in this spot this afternoon. So maybe White Abarrio is the horse that you have to look at if you're going to be thinking about an upset in the Whitney today. Again, you can't play Cody's Wish. He's 1-2 on the morning line. You're not going to make any money. You can cheer for him all you want. He's a fantastic story. But I don't think you can bet on him. So for me, White Abarrio is the horse that has all the potential in the world. We mentioned we were efforting Tom Law. I wanted to recognize him and the team at the Saratoga Special and ST Publishing as this week's unsung heroes in the sport. Just like all of the other media that cover the game and work so hard, I consider them unsung heroes, and Tom is certainly one of them. And Tom is with me now. We do have a hold of him. He's in Saratoga. He's busy this morning. We appreciate a few minutes. Tom, thanks for being here, brother.
Mike, it's great to be here. Walking through Clare Court right now. Actually just finished up an interview with somebody. It was kind of running long, and I hear my phone going off in my pocket, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? You know how it is. We're day to day here, minute to minute, and complete brain lapse. So I apologize for my tardiness, but thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's good to be considered an unsung. That's pretty nice. But I usually like to write about the unsung hero.
I know you do, and that's exactly why I wanted to recognize you and the team at ST Publishing, because of the fact that you do bring those stories to light. And I'm always preaching that our sport needs more of that. There are so many incredible storylines and stories that never get told, and when they do get told, it's people like yourself and Sean and Joe and the team at Saratoga Special and our team and the teams in the media all across the board that work tirelessly to put those stories out there, and that's exactly why I view people in the media as being unsung heroes.
Well, we have a phrase at the office, or when we're kind of just together, Sean and Joe Clancy and I, and we say root for chaos. And by that we mean not necessarily something bad or chaotic to happen, but really just kind of like the unpredictable, because then it's a story that hasn't been told about a little guy trainer or small time owner or homebred type horse, mom and pop type operation. So, that's what we're not supposed to root, and we're not really rooting, but that's what we're hoping for, just because we're looking for a new angle. There's so many stories in our game that have been told hundreds of times. And, and we do those too, and it's fine. And, but we like little guy stories for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Different is always very interesting, and those stories need to be brought to light and need to be told. Let's talk about a couple of the races coming up later today. Several stakes races. You've got 3 grade 1s on the program. Incredible. I kind of just shared my thoughts walking through each horse in the Whitney, but you have the Test, you have the Saratoga Derby. Tell me more about some of the storylines that you're keeping an eye on later today.
Well, I mean, obviously Cody's Wish is the star of the show. I heard you talking about him. It's a tough betting race, but a horse like Charge It should appreciate the 1.8 mile trip at Saratoga. It's kind of a demanding 9 furlongs out here. No gimme for Cody's Wish. He's being asked to do something he's never done before as a favorite, and that's kind of like the number 1 Harvey Pack rule of handicapping, to not get sucked into that as a favorite. So you got to be wary, but then you you look at the Test, and you got Maple Leaf Mel going against Pretty Mischievous. I mean, talk about a headline event, and that's like that race. The Test this year looks like one of those throwback ones from back when you and I were kids, when you'd see those, killers lining up in there, and went back when the test used to be like a weekday stake, which was crazy to think here at Saratoga.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, the Saratoga Derby's going to be a good race. I mean, gotta put the Europeans a peg or two ahead, I think, after watching the outcome yesterday on that soft ground with the French filly winning over the Irish horse, the American, and an Irish bred finishing third in there. So, what a day. Thankfully the sun's back out. It's kind of looking like a nice day up here at Saratoga. They took a couple races early off the grass, but for the most part, the card's staying together, and it looks like a good one. But Cody's Wish is, if you're a gambler, you're in a tough spot there. But if you're a fan of racing and you're a fan of all the good things that can come about from racing, that's the story you gravitate towards. I mean, I feel like it's the story of the year last year. It's still the story of the year this year, and it's just a cool story. But as I've talked to Bill Mott over the years and over the last several months, he's like, it's a cool story, but it's a really good horse too. And let's not forget that. And he's a serious horse. He's the real deal. He proves it every time, and it's going to be a lot of fun later today, about 5:45 or so.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the test stakes too, because I think the test, because of the presence of Cody's Wish and the Whitney, isn't getting the credit it deserves. And you said kind of a throwback type of race. You got the Kentucky Oaks winner, Pretty Mischievous, and then Maple Leaf Mel, who is we talk about great stories in racing. Here's another one. I had a chance to interview Melanie Giddings for a full hour on our Trainer Talk show. I guess it was 6 or 8 weeks ago now, and so much fun to talk with Melanie. And Maple Leaf Mel is a fantastic story in the test.
Oh man, New York bred too. Don't forget, grew up, born and raised right here in the good old Empire State, just like me, and owned by Bill Parcells. I mean, let's not forget that part. He's had some success as an owner, and he's really enjoying the ride, and did a really nice, cool thing to name the filly after Melanie Giddings, and she's gone out on her own, and now she's here on Saturday in the Grade 1 test at Saratoga. I mean, talk about a dream come true for anybody involved in racing. So exciting, big day for her.
I'm going to take you back a little bit, Tom. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to take you back a little bit. We've got about 2 minutes left before I've got to get to a break. But when I think of the test stakes, the number one filly that comes to mind for me, Capote Bell. Do you remember Capote Bell?
Sure. Danny Pites trained her for Robert and Luana Lowe. She was lights out here. I was working at the Saratoga, and I remember covering that. I have a favorite test horse, too. It's Versailles Treaty.
Yes.
She wasn't Versailles Treaty, but she could be, I guess. But Versailles Treaty. Shug ran her in there, and then he ran her back 10 days, and she won the Alabama back when it was back in the day. But, that Capote Bell, whew. How about you and Carson Hollow? That was the test, too, right?
That was tremendous.
That was a throwdown. That's kind of like a lot of people's favorite race or all-time best race they've ever seen at Saratoga. So good,
that was
pretty good additions. Yeah.
Yep, it's going to be fun, and again, great day of racing in Saratoga. And Tom, I mean this with all sincerity, in terms of being unsung heroes in the sport. You and Joe and Sean and the entire team at Saratoga Special. I talked about this at the beginning of the program that Sean was starting Saratoga Special when I was launching HRRN 20 years ago, and we've kind of seen it all grow together, and I've watched how hard everybody works there, and not just Saratoga Special, but media in general, how hard the media works in covering the sport and putting those stories out there. So for every media member, they are all unsung heroes in my book, and I'm maybe a little bit biased there, but certainly unsung heroes in this game.
Well, you're the best. We appreciate it. You guys are cut from the same cloth as we are, I feel like, and that's why we have such a good relationship. And, we're just going to keep working hard and keep trying to tell good stories just like you are.
Yep. Enjoy the day, brother.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good one.
All right, Tom Law, managing editor of ST Publishing and Saratoga Special. This is horseracing.com is where you can learn more about everything they do. I'm going to be back after a word from the sponsor of this segment, Woodbine Entertainment.
The thrill of world-class racing is just beginning at Toronto's Woodbine Racetrack. Kick off the weekend's action now with racing each Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, beginning at 1:05 p.m. Eastern, with Thursday twilight racing being added on May 25th. With more than $64 million in purses this season, you'll enjoy world-class racing and training facilities with the top turf racing in North America over the prestigious E.P. Taylor Turf Course. You won't want to miss racing at Woodbine. For wagering updates, handicapping tips, racing news, and more, visit woodbine.com.
When I come back, I'll go down the road to the Breeders' Cup with John Shirreffs. We'll talk about this year's Clement L. Hirsch and look back on the great Zenyatta. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN, Horse Racing's voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Adina Stallions set the gold standard, all number one in their category. Point of entry, the number one stallion by black type and greatest stakes winners standing in Canada.
Oh, the classy point of entry would not be denied.
Shaman Ghost, the number one second crop sire standing in Canada.
It's Shaman Ghost, an overwhelming force in the last 16th of a mile.
Signature Red, the number one stallion by percentage of black type winners standing in Canada.
Signature Red won his second Highlander in a row.
And Silent Name, the number one stallion by percentage of black type performers standing in Canada. A list that includes Grade 1 winner Silent Poet.
Silent Poet in front. Admiralty Pier out the ground, but Silent Poet has won the Highlander Stakes.
And don't forget Adina's new sire, American Guru. His first crop are now yearlings of 2023. American Guru, the son of Unbridled Song, whose family have already set their gold standards around the world. Ellis Park is offering average daily purses of nearly $600,000 and a record $14 million in purses. Kentucky breds will compete for $70,000 in maiden special weight races and up to $80,000 in allowance races. And bettors will love the low 15% takeout pick 5s and the 20-cent jackpot pick 6, along with a daily $3 all turf pick 3. For more information, visit EllisParkRacing.com. Ellis Park Pursers are powered by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund. First post, 12:45 p.m. Eastern.
Achieve Equine, makers of Flair Equine Nasal Strips, brings you innovative, evidence-based products for the health and well-being of your equine athletes, like the new Impact Protection Half Pad from Europe, VIP Equestrian, that provides a superior layer of cushioning for the horse's back. Visit AchieveEquine.com for more information on the innovative products we offer. That's AchieveEquine.com. Breathe easy, we've got your back.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of Dubawi standing in Kentucky. Dubawi, one of the world's most celebrated stallions, is now a sire of sires. His top sons at stud are making a name for themselves across the globe. With a picture-perfect pedigree, this son of Dubawi brings one of the world's most potent bloodlines to America. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
They come into the quarter pole. Silver Z continues to lead them. Here comes Model with a nice run, and Model on the outside. Model suddenly sweeps right by them. Zenyatta is back fifth on the inside, looking for somewhere to go. Zenyatta gets room if she's good enough, but she's got to get to Model. Model is kicked away. Zenyatta now sees her out in front and comes with her ears cocked, running up alongside of her, and Zenyatta just making it look all too easy. This is simply poetry in motion. Ears cocked, she canters home.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires. Mike Penna rolling on this Saturday morning. Time to go down the road to the Breeders' Cup, and who better to do that with than trainer John Shirreffs, the man who conditioned the great Zenyatta. You just heard Trevor Denman with the call of the 2008 Clement L. Hirsch, the first of 3 consecutive victories in the race for Zenyatta. And I said at the top of the show, that when you listen to his tone and some of the things he was saying there, we didn't really know that Zenyatta was going to turn out to be the Zenyatta she would eventually be, the legend that she would eventually be. At that point, she was 6-0 going into that race. She made it 7, but you didn't know if she was going to come back down to earth that day and not fire. But boy, did she ever, and did she continue to do that all the way through her career, 19 consecutive wins. John Shirreffs is with me now. John, good morning, my friend.
Hi, Mike.
Did you know at that point, start number 7, that you were sitting there with a horse that was going to turn out to be legendary?
Oh, no. We certainly didn't. And, Trevor made it sound all too easy. It was, but each race, she seemed to grow and develop more and more, but had no idea how far she would take us.
It's amazing when you look back on her career and you think about that race in 2008. You think about the 6 consecutive wins to begin her career, and yeah, it's impressive, but it's not uncommon to see a horse rattle off 6 or 7 wins to start their career. But to see where she went after that is really, and I think that Trevor summed that up at the end of his call when he said poetry in motion, and the way his tone, he almost started to kind of get the sense that we could be seeing something special even at that point.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like it. And, she one of the things that she had was that she had tremendous closing kick, right? And as you watched her race, in the beginning of the race, she's carrying her head a little high and whatnot. And then as you see, as she started to lengthen her stride at the end of the race, she would drop her head and she'd just get longer and longer and longer. So horses, if they wanted to back up the speed, that actually made it a little easier for her because she was she had the ability to really close.
John, the only horse in the history of the Clement L. Hirsch to have won the race 3 times, and she does it in succession 3 years in a row. Talk about the accomplishment, that feat of being able to stay at the top of her game each and every year.
Yeah, that was really amazing because, she was able to recover so quickly. I think that was one of the big things about Zenyatta, her ability to recover after a race, and then her ability to start to peak. As after the race, there's a little letdown, and as she got closer and closer to her next race, she just seemed to get into her training more and more and get better and better and better for the next race. And then after that race, she'd have a little letdown. And then she was always able to recover and continue to train.
Yeah, she was so special. When she got to her second Clement L. Hirsch, she was much further along in her career, and now the legend was indeed beginning to build. When she won that race in 2009, what do you remember about that day?
Was that on a synthetic track? I'm not really sure, but I know one of the Clement Hirsch's races she won by a whisker, and that particular day they had just rototilled a synthetic track, right? I went out and looked at it. I said, "Oh my God, how can we run on this?" But Richard Tedesco was the track man at that time. He said, "John, don't worry, it'll be fine by post time by the time we run." And so he got the track back into shape and everything, and she ran that day. But it was that was a real tough race.
Yeah, she won by a head, I believe it was. Like you said, a whisker. It wasn't much. I'd forgotten about the synthetic track at Del Mar.
Right. Yeah. She really did not like that track. That was after she ran in that race, she wouldn't even gallop around the track.
Really?
Oh yeah, we gave her a few days off, took her out to the track, galloped about 3/4 mile and pulled up. Said, "No, I've had enough of this." Had to take her off. The closest gap we could find, we just took her off.
Wow. Her final win in the Clement L. Hirsch in 2010, it wasn't by a wide margin that day either. She won by a neck that afternoon. had to call on all her class yet again, but that was kind of her trademark at that point in 2010.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you had Mike Smith in the irons, and Mike Smith is great at measuring what he needs to do. And I told Mike the other day, Mike, watching you ride is like watching a guy play poker. Never know quite what you have in your hand. You never know what card he's going to pull out next, right?
Yeah. He's still Mike Smith, even today. I know he doesn't ride nearly as much as he used to, and he kind of picks his spots. But I'm sure, John, even today, you would never hesitate to give him a leg up on any horse.
Oh, are you kidding me? He's the best. But and I always tell these young riders, you got to watch Mike Smith. Just watch him how he breaks from the gate, and watch him what he does with his body, because Mike's the kind of guy that uses his body to signal the horse. He doesn't have to be real strong with his hands. He can come out of the gate. You see, he'll get real down, crouch down, real low on the horse, right? And so he's asking the horse. The horse knows he's in that position where he wants the horse to go, but he's not asking him real hard with his hands, so the horse is not using himself as much. So, Mike's got the whole game.
When Zenyatta would make those late runs, and as I said, she didn't often win by wide margins. Sometimes she did, but sometimes it was close. Were you, as she got further into her career, were you nervous when she was further back at the top of the stretch, or were you pretty confident that, okay, we've seen this story play out, I know what's going to happen?
No, I think each time it was, if she won, it was a blessing, because she'd done so much. So after a while, you just say thank you and accept whatever may happen, because she was, like I said, she was just a blessing, and for her to continue on the way she did was just amazing, and I think we all appreciated and watched her in amazement.
Does it ever get old talking about Zenyatta?
Not really, no. How can it, right?
What an incredible horse, an incredible feat, and for you to continue with her and keep her at that high level all the way through. I know that she had a lot to do with that, but you did too, John, and that's a credit to you. When you're dealing with a horse like that and all the media hype and everything that goes with it, it put me in your shoes there as you were going through this run for those few years. What was that like for you personally?
Well, for me, it was very rewarding, obviously, and it was something I wanted to share with as many people as I could, because not everybody has a great appreciation for the thoroughbred horse, right? To a lot of people, it's just a horse. But for me, the thoroughbred is a very special horse. And for me, Zenyatta was the perfect example of how special a thoroughbred horse was. So I always think about when they say, you want to get grounded, go out and hug a tree. Just feel that connection to the earth. So for Zenyatta, I always wanted somebody, when they came to look at her, to have a chance just to touch her, to put their hands on her, because she was very grounding and just a really special animal. And so that was what it was for me, to share that uniqueness about her.
Well, John, it's wonderful to look back on her with you. It's always great to visit here on the show. And I know you're working this morning, so I won't keep you. I really do appreciate the visit, and all the best, my friend. Continued success moving forward.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right, John Shirreffs going down the road to the Breeders' Cup here on the Horse Racing Radio Network. And a great remembrance of Zenyatta on this day, the Clement L. Hirsch being renewed later this afternoon at Del Mar. It is a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup, so that's kind of cool. But then you think about Zenyatta and everything she accomplished, not just in that race, but certainly we know the legend that she became, the Hall of Famer, 19 consecutive wins before finally coming up short against Blame in the Breeders' Cup Classic at Churchill Downs. But, yeah, wonderful stuff, and my thanks to John for taking the time here this morning. When I come back, I'll take a look at some historical dates in racing history and tell you all about the promotion coming up at Emerald Downs and the Long Acres Mile. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Woodford Feed, where tradition merges with technology. Family owned since 1940 and providing exceptional customer service, Woodford Feed specializes in the highest quality feed, using only the finest ingredients to ensure optimal nutrition for your horses. In addition, Woodford Feed can help with all your farm needs, including field seed, fertilizer, and weed control. So whether your horse is sprinting around the racetrack or has a foal by her side, count on Woodford Feed to provide the quality nutrition necessary to perform at the highest level. Woodford Feed for Sales, Kentucky.
Ellis Park is offering average daily purses of nearly $600,000 and a record $14 million in purses. Kentucky breds will compete for $70,000 in maiden special weight races and up to $80,000 in allowance races. And bettors will love the low 15% takeout pick 5s and the 20-cent jackpot pick 6, along with a daily $3 all-turf pick 3. For more information, visit EllisParkRacing.com. Ellis Park Pursers are powered by the Kentucky Thoroughbred Development Fund. First post, 12:45 p.m. Eastern.
I'm William Shatner. I've been around a long time, but I'm truly humbled when I see the real battles our brave, paralyzed veterans have faced defending our freedom.
I was on a routine patrol, and we were in the desert of Kuwait, and the vehicle flipped and landed on top of me, which left me paralyzed from the waist down.
Okay, folks, this is heroism. That's why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America. Go to PVA.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with a crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Want to get the latest HRRN content directly on your computer or mobile device? Then subscribe to our podcast using the Podbean app or Apple Podcasts. Just go to hrrn.podbean.com on your computer and click follow, or download the Podbean app and search HRRN. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and listen to our latest episodes anytime. Don't miss a thing. Subscribe to our podcasts today. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Welcome back to the Equine Forum. 2 hours down, 1 to go. Going to tell you about that after I take a look at some historical dates in racing history and update you on the poll question here this morning. Quite simply, who wins the Whitney at Saratoga today? Cody's Wish, Zandon, Chargett, or somebody else? And 74% of you saying it is the favorite, Cody's Wish, who pulls off the win. Again, the one thing that could stand in his way is that 1 1/8 distance. He's never done it before. Maybe this is the day that he passes that test, too. He's passed every other test. He's been brilliant. And as Tom Law pointed out in our Unsung Hero segment just a short time ago, Bill Mott says, hey, the story's great, but this is a really good horse, too. So keep that in mind when you're getting ready to handicap the Whitney later today. Tough to play Cody's Wish if you're betting the race, but if you're going against him, in my opinion, a horse like White Abario could be very, very dangerous in that spot this afternoon. All right, time now to take a look at a couple dates in racing history as they apply to this weekend, the 5th of August, 2023. It was August 5th, 1988, that trainer Dale Baird won his 5,000th career race. With Stuffed Johnny at Mountaineer Park, he became the second trainer in history behind Jack Van Berg to reach the 5,000 win mark. As we know, he would go on to be the all-time leading trainer until Steve Asmussen came along and broke that mark. Tomorrow, August 6th, 2001, the anniversary of jockey Early Fires. Trainers Richard Mandela and Tom Smith. Horse of yesteryear, Mesquite. Contemporary female horse Passiana and contemporary male horse Holy Bull, all inducted into Thoroughbred Racing's Hall of Fame in Saratoga Springs, New York. That was a special day for all those fans of those horses. I loved Passiana, too. As you know, I'm a huge Holy Bull fan, but absolutely loved Passiana. I thought she was brilliant and great to see her get in with that same class. One more for you. August 7th, 1988. So that would be Monday, the anniversary of jockey Eddie Delahousse winning his 4,000th race aboard a 2-year-old filly named Fawn and Han in the 4th at Del Mar. Those are historical dates in racing history as they apply to this particular weekend. Again, busy third hour of the program coming up. I'm going to tell you more about that momentarily. But that was really fun to walk through those 3 wins in the Clement L. Hirsch by Zenyatta with John Shirreffs a moment ago. I hope you enjoyed that conversation because John's a class act, and it was great to do that with him. Don't forget, Emerald Downs, August 13th, Championship Sunday. It's Washington's biggest day of racing, the Muckleshoot Derby, the Washington Oaks, the Emerald Distaff, and the $150,000 Long Acres Mile. You can play the All-Stakes Pick 4 for just 50 cents. Post time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern that day. All right, one more hour to go. When I come back, we kick it off with the TwinSpires Triple Play. Vance Hanson will give you 3 races to keep an eye on this afternoon. 10:20, Kurt Becker takes you on his weekly Stroll Through Racing History. And at 10:30, Dale, Tim, and special guest Mike Riley with the fantasy draft for the Showdown II on I Ask, They Answer. If your local station is leaving us at this time, continue listening on Sirius 216 XM 204 and streaming at horseracingradio.net. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum is next, right after 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Horse Racing Radio Network.
From the rail to your radio, this is the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Cody's Wish has a narrow lead. Cyberknife is right there to the inside. Slow down, Andy coming late from third. Cyberknife fighting back. Cody's Wish right alongside. Down to the wire. Cody's Wish wins it.
Then on the outside, it's Mucho Macho Man. Ron the Greek down toward the rail. Successful Dan on the outside. Cross traffic wandering to the outside. Now ducking back to the inside. Successful Dan, a final try. Here's the wire. And cross traffic will take his place among the top handicapped horses in the country with this victory in the Whitney.
Welcome to the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires.
They line up with a football field to go. Here comes Tonka Warrior and Stagecoach Boys. Tight photo. Also in there, we had Fuerte Ventura, who might have gotten the nose down first.
Model is kicked away. Zenyatta now sees her out in front and comes with her ears cocked, running up alongside of her. And Zenyatta just making it look all too easy. This is simply poetry in motion. Ears cocked, she canters home.
Now here's Mike Penna.
Welcome back. Hour 3 of the Equine Forum, barreling toward the finish line, but plenty more to come over the next hour. Mike Penna, Baron of the Backstretch, with you on this Saturday morning, and looking forward to a trio of selections that you'll want to watch later today with the TwinSpires Triple Play coming up momentarily. Kurt Becker's Stroll Through Racing History, one that, as I tell you every week, you will not want to miss. And then at 10:30, I Ask, They Answer. Dale, Tim, both going to be with me and joined by a special guest as we do something a little different with that segment this week. It is time for the Showdown II that begins today. And as you know, if you've been listening to this program over the past couple of months, we are welcoming a listener that was drawn at random last week, Michael Riley. Michael going to be with us to draft his team to go head-to-head with Dale and Tim from now through Breeders' Cup Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun at 10:30 Eastern. If you missed any portion of the first 2 hours of the show, talking about the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Sale, talking about the big race days at Saratoga, at Del Mar, at Ellis Park, all you have to do is head back to the website, horseracingradio.net. You can listen to the podcast whenever you get some time. You can also do that on every podcast platform, and follow us on social media at HRRN on Twitter and Horse Racing Radio Network on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. With that said, our man, Vance Hanson, joins me for this week's TwinSpires Triple Play. Vance, it is time once again to enlighten our listeners, give them 3 races that they won't want to miss later today. They can play them any way they want to play them after you go through them, but they just have to play them at TwinSpires.com. And I appreciate the time again this morning, my friend.
Good to talk with you again, Mike. Hope you're having a great weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited to get this ball rolling. What a weekend, right? I mean, I mentioned the big race days at Saratoga and Del Mar, and, of course, Ellis Park, and we're going to focus on Saratoga and Ellis with your 3 selections today. You have chosen the 3rd race at Ellis Park, an allowance 1 mile on the turf, the 8th at Saratoga, which is the Grade 1 test, and the 11th at Saratoga, another allowance race at 7 furlongs on the main track. So let's go in order of post times, and we'll start with the 3rd at Ellis Park, that 1 mile allowance on the grass. Field of 12, the favorite, number 6, Private Credit from the barn of Chad Brown, 3-1 on the morning line. So this is I say this all the time, Vance, when you get a big field with a 3-1 morning line favorite, it's a Breeders' Cup caliber type of betting race.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping the Brown filly, along with some of the others from high-profile stables like Steve Asmussen and Brad Cox, takes some money here, because I'm kind of going in a different direction from them. I'm kind of leaning towards number 5, Nom de Plume, for trainer Paulo Lobo, 5-1 on the morning line. Paulo's been having an excellent Ellis Park meet, 35% winning clip so far, mostly in maiden races, but this filly, I think, really fits here in allowance company. She's trying the turf for the first time. She is by Uncle Mo, first-time turf sire of 15%, according to Brisnet stats. Nom de Plume ran twice at Turfway last winter over the Tapeta, ran very well, won her debut going 6 furlongs, and then just missed by a neck going a mile. So returning at a mile today is not going to be an issue for Nom de Plume. And I did mention earlier that Paulo Lobo has been winning primarily maiden races so far at Ellis this summer, but one thing that I kind of liked to alleviate concerns of the layoff that Nom de Plume has going in, she's been off 6 months, but last month Paulo saddled a horse named Gunton Rowe to a second-level allowance victory on the turf at Ellis at 15-1, and that horse hadn't run since January. So Paulo's got a really good record at getting horses to fire off extended layoffs, and I think Nom de Plume offers some value here first time on the turf.
Vance, both of those career starts that you mentioned in December of last year at Turfway, February of this year at Turfway, both coming on the synthetic surface there. Is there something you see in the pedigree maybe of Nom de Plume that leads you to believe that the move to the turf course will suit her fine?
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, Uncle Mo, 15% first-time turf debut winners. And then also, if you look further back in this filly's pedigree, her second dam was Shadowcast, who was actually a stakes winner on the grass before she transitioned to the more to running on the dirt and became a Grade 1 winner at Saratoga as an older horse. So I think there's plenty to like from a pedigree perspective as she tries the turf today for the first time.
And again, great value, Nom de Plume, 5-1 on the morning line, the first leg of the TwinSpires triple play for Vance Hanson. That is the 3rd race at Ellis Park. Let's head to Saratoga, where the 8th race is the Grade 1 test stakes for the 3-year-old fillies, and we're going to see a good one in here. The leader in this division, Vance, there was a lot of talk after Pretty Mischievous decided to go in the Grade 1 test sprinting after winning a couple of Grade 1s going long. She looks for a 3rd Grade 1 victory in a row. She's 9-5 on the morning line for Brendan Walsh. Does Pretty Mischievous win this race?
I'm actually going to fade her in this spot. Obviously nothing wrong with her form. She is the Pro 10 leader of the 3-year-old filly division. And, trainer Brendan Walsh has said this, cutting her back to 7 furlongs is by design. It just kind of fits her schedule better than some of the 2-turn Grade 1s at Saratoga during the meet. But this race is absolutely loaded. Of course, we also have Maple Leaf Mel, who's arguably the best sprinting 3-year-old filly in the country. So this is going to be a terrific clash. I'm going quite a bit outside the box in this race, however. I want to give number 5 Interpolate for Chad Brown one more chance to show how good she is. I think, this filly has shown some very good late closing sprinting form sporadically during the course of her career. None better so far to date than her next second in the Beaumont Stakes to Key of Life, going the Beard course at Keeneland 2 starts back. Last time this filly contested the victory ride over 6.5 at Belmont Park, really just didn't get going after a slow start, and the Maple Leaf Mill wound up winning that race. But, Chad Brown is keeping the faith with Interpolate. I want to give her one more chance because I was impressed with the development that she showed in the Beaumont 2 back. There's obviously going to be a monster amount of speed in this test stakes with horses like Money's Gold and others showing some really good zips. So the pace is going to be honest. I want to give Interpolate one more chance. 15-1. I'm willing to take that price to see what else she has up her sleeve.
It is a great price. And Interpolate, much like the morning line favorite Pretty Mischievous, a daughter of Into Mischief, and we know how good Into Mischief has been. Those runners do anything. They go long, they go short, they run turf, dirt. It doesn't matter. Were you surprised, Vance, to see Pretty Mischievous opt for this 7-furlong sprint after winning the Kentucky Oaks and the Acorn, both at longer distances?
I think dropping her back for the test was kind of in the works for quite a while, shortly after she won the Acorn. So I think that was, if my memory is right, that was pretty well publicized not too long after the Acorn. So overall, no, not surprised. But, the fact that, she just clung on to victory going 1 1/8 in the Kentucky Oaks and then 1 1/16 in the Acorn. I kind of wonder if this filly is actually one that really wants to go 1 1/8, 1 1/4 going forward. I mean, she could just be more of a miler to 1 1/16 type when you get down to it. So, and there are plenty of opportunities for this filly. I mean, after the test, she'll have a nice race at parks called the Cotillion that she could point for, Grade 1 in September. So, it'll be interesting to see where she ends up going forward, if she wins the test today or if she loses.
Yep, and Interpolate, Vance's top pick, 15-1, so you get great value there going against the favorite Into Mischief in the Grade 1 test. Number 5, Interpolate. All right, Vance, one more to go. The 11th race at the Spa, and this one another very contentious race, at least in terms of the field size and what we're going to see from the morning line. You have a field of 10 sprinting 7 furlongs on the main track. It's an allowance race. Number 7, Ever So Mischievous, is the morning line favorite at 2-1 from the barn of Brad Cox. Are you going against Brad or with Brad?
I'm going against Brad in this spot, and but it's with another lightly raced 3-year-old. Number 2, Signator, is a horse that potentially might need this race. He hasn't run since October of last year, or for Shug McGahee. But Signator, for me, if you go back and look at his maiden win at Aqueduct last October, very impressive. Strode to a 4.5 length victory going a mile. Looked like a horse with loads of potential. Obviously, they've encountered some setbacks since then, but this horse was obviously an eye catcher from the start. He's a son of Tapit, sold for $1.7 million as a juvenile in training, and he showed talent right off the bat last fall at Aqueduct, finishing second in his debut, and then, of course, as I mentioned, winning his maiden impressively. Now, he is conceding, experience and age to some of his more mature rivals in this race, and of course conceding recency. But 6-1 morning line, I think he's worth taking a shot, especially if Shook has him ready to roll off first off the bench.
And great running style too. He should set a really nice trip in here at that 7/8 distance. We'll see if Signator at 6-1 can pull it off under jockey Javier Castellano, who has had one heck of a year, and this would be just another feather in his cap. I know it's an allowance race, but it's always great when you can win races at Saratoga, and he's won several already this meet.
Absolutely, and Shug's kind of gotten off to a slow start at this meet too, and that's always kind of a concern. But Signature is adding Lasix, and like I said, his inherent talent is there based on what we saw last fall. He still has a very high ceiling, and looks like a value play here.
Vance, I'm going to recap your top three here in just a minute, but the odds on your top three selections you've given out on today's triple play segment: 5-1, 15-1, 6-1, all tremendous value. When you're getting ready to make your wagers on a race where you like a 5-1 or a 6-1, and in this case, in the second leg, a 15-1 shot, are you thinking, okay, I need to tie this horse up with some other horses in exactas and trifectas? I need to use them as a key horse in multi-race wagers and hope I get lucky? Or are you just betting them straight or across the board? How do you approach a race where you have horses like this that are good value?
It varies, to be honest with you, but in these three instances, I'm definitely looking at playing them to win. They're just too good a price on the morning line to pass up. Betting to win, and when it comes to vertical exotics or horizontal exotics, those kind of take a back seat in my plans. For horses that are offering this kind of value, I'm definitely focusing in on the win pool.
What's your favorite bet to make, Vance?
Definitely a win bet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Old school, I like it.
I'm very old school. I do dabble in the horizontals, daily doubles and pick threes, pick fours, pick fives. When I'm really interested, but yeah, definitely old school win pool. And unlike a lot of players, I'm not always dabbling in the exactas and trifectas. My philosophy over the years is that it's easy to narrow down to, in a race, the number of legitimate win contenders. Almost anybody in any particular race could almost run second or third. So exactas and tries have always taken a back seat in my wagering to win bets, and then multi-race wagers where you're trying to find the winners out of those.
Okay, let's walk through the three selections made by Vance Hanson this week, and you can head over to TwinSpires.com to place your bets on those three races any way you like. And as a matter of fact, any race you're going to be betting this weekend, make sure you're doing it at TwinSpires.com. The third at Ellis Park, number 5, Nom de Plume at 5-1 is Vance's top pick. In race 8 at Saratoga, the Grade 1 test, he'll look for the upset with number 5, Interpolate at 15-1. And in the 11th at the Spa, number 2, Signature at 6-1 is the top pick. And again, great value plays from Vance. And let's hope that those odds stay where they are, maybe even drift up a little bit. That would be nice. Vance, before I let you go, what can folks expect when they go to TwinSpires.com or Briss or any of those two sites?
Well, as always, we've got lots of great opinions on the TwinSpires Edge. BrissNet will have our stakes advances and recaps, and so lots of great editorial coverage at the site, and also lots of offers that players can opt into over the weekend and get a little bonus money back if they happen to cash some tickets along the way.
All right, Vance Hanson. Vance, appreciate it, my friend. Enjoy the weekend. Good luck with those three selections and all the bets you're going to make this weekend.
Thank you, Mike. Same to you.
All right, Vance Hanson here on the TwinSpires Triple Play. Coming up next, Kurt Becker takes you on his weekly Stroll Through Racing History. And this one, I told you won't want to miss it, and I tell you this every week when I talk about Kurt's stories. And listen, I received so many emails from all of you across HRRN Nation who are telling me how much you enjoy Kurt's stories every week, and we really appreciate it. Kurt appreciates it. Keeneland, the sponsor of those segments, really appreciates it. But this one is really cool. It is a story about Onion, who 50 years ago this weekend upset Secretariat in the Whitney Handicap at Saratoga. So, again, one you definitely will not want to miss. Stay with me. Kurt takes you on that Stroll Through Racing History. Then Dale, Tim, and Michael Riley with a fantasy draft on I Ask the Answer at 10:30. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
There are plenty of thrills at Gulfstream Park during the Royal Palm Meet with live racing Friday through Sunday and simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. Come out and enjoy the Summit of Speed, the Florida Sire Stakes Series, and a whole lot more. Watch the action from our Trackside Carousel Club, our Feast in 10 Palms restaurant with an elevated view of the track. For stake schedules, reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Colonial Downs summer racing season is here. Weekend racing returns every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with a first post of 1:30 p.m. Back this year is our popular 12% takeout Pick 5, which is now offered twice daily. We're also introducing the all-new Old Dominion 6, a $1 traditional Pick 6 with a 15% takeout. Join us for our biggest days of the season on August 12th for the Colonial Downs Festival of Racing, which features the Grade 1 Arlington Million, and September 9th as we wrap up the season with the Virginia Derby. Colonial Downs, rich history, bright future.
Airdrie Stud is proud to announce the arrival of Grade 1 winning millionaire Happy Saver for the 2023 season. Happy Saver boasts one of the most important female families of the century, as his third dam is Broodmare of the Year Weekend Surprise, dam of the legendary AP Indy. Undefeated in his first 5 starts, Happy Saver capped off his perfect 4-for-4 season with an emphatic victory in the historic Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup.
And Happy Saver stays undefeated. He steps up and he wins the Grade 1 Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Airdrie Studs, Happy Saver. Think about it.
You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Hello, I'm Kurt Becker. Thanks for joining me as I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. Saratoga Racecourse has long been known as the graveyard of favorites, and 50 years ago this weekend, a little-known horse by the name of Onion pulled a memorable upset at the Spa in the Whitney Handicap. Foaled on May 23, 1969 in Ocala, Florida, Onion was a chestnut colt by stakes winner Third Martini and came from the Sir Galahad line, which had been responsible for Triple Crown winners Gallant Fox and Omaha. His dam was a granddaughter of Triple Crown winner Count Fleet. Onion had plenty of Triple Crown influence in his pedigree, but he was never meant to be a Triple Crown horse himself. Neither was he meant to be a sire, as he was gelded before he began his racing career. He never raced as a 2-year-old, and at age 3, he was nowhere near races such as the Kentucky Derby, but instead was struggling just to break his maiden in New York. Owned and bred by Hobo Farm of Jack Dreyfus Jr., Onion was trained by Alan Jerkins. Dreyfus, a Wall Street investor and a pioneer in the field of mutual funds, had hired Jerkins to be his trainer several years earlier, and the relationship had been fruitful. Jerkins had trained Onion's sire for Dreyfus, and he had also trained the Dreyfus homebred Beau Purple to a pair of upset wins over Horse of the Year Kelso in the early 1960s. Yet another upset came in 1967 when Jerkins trained Dreyfus homebred Handsome Boy to a win over Horse of the Year Buckpasser in the Brooklyn Handicap. Jerkins was becoming known as a giant killer, and the Dreyfus homebreds were helping him earn that reputation. And Onion was about to add his name to that list with a victory over a horse many believe to be one of the greatest of all time. Secretariat, Horse of the Year in 1972, Triple Crown winner in 1973, was originally to take a break following his 31-length victory in the Belmont Stakes. With the Triple Crown secured, his connections had planned not to run him again until the Whitney Handicap at Saratoga during the first week of August. But those plans changed. With Arlington Park offering a $100,000 purse, Meadow Stable agreed to take Secretariat to Chicago on June 30th for the Arlington Invitational. He won by 9 lengths that afternoon, and then it was back to New York to prepare for the Whitney. While Secretariat spent the month of July training toward the race, Onion was gaining valuable racing experience over the Saratoga surface. Onion broke the track record at 6.5 furlongs on July 24th, and he returned 1 week later to win by 8 lengths at the Spa. At the same time Onion was impressing onlookers in the afternoons, Secretariat was drawing thousands of spectators to Saratoga just to watch his morning workouts. On July 27th, for example, he worked a mile in 1 minute 34 seconds over a sloppy track and galloped out 9 furlongs in 1:47.4. So impressive was the work that some 5,000 fans came to the track 5 days later to see him work a half mile in 48.1. On August 4th, 1973, Secretariat met Onion and 3 other challengers in the 46th running of the Whitney Handicap. This would be his first test against older horses, and both he and 4-year-old Onion would carry 119 pounds. CBS television had live coverage. For the call, Chick Anderson.
They're coming to the head of the stretch. It is Secretariat on the rail and Onion on the outside. Secretariat has a head in front. Onion is on the outside. Coming on now is True Knight. On the outside, West Coast Scout is all through. It's still very close. Onion has Secretariat on the rail. They're very tight quarters. It's Onion holding on as they come to the wire. Secretariat is not going to get him. It's going to be Onion. He's holding it as they hit the finish. It's Onion winning it by about a length. Secretariat second by a half a length.
With Jacinto Vasquez aboard, Onion went to the post at odds of nearly 6-1 and beat 1-10 favorite Secretariat that day before a record Saratoga crowd of 30,000. It would be the only stakes win of Onion's career. Secretariat's trainer Lucian Lauren said afterward that the favorite had banged his head against the starting gate shortly before the race began and that he never got a hold of the track. Jockey Ron Turcotte came under fire for keeping Secretariat on the rail, where the track was said to be deep and tiring. In Turcotte's defense, he went right out and won the following race with a rail skimming ride. Regardless, Secretariat would get his revenge 6 weeks later by winning the Marlboro Cup with Onion running fourth. Onion would race another 4 years, scoring his last win in September of 1977 and making his final career start 2 months later. He would retire to Hobo Farm with a record of 15 wins in 54 career starts, and he would die in Florida in October of 1995 at the age of 26. When asked how Onion had managed to beat Secretariat, Vasquez said that the horse loved Saratoga and had a good day. But as one member of the press noted, with an eye toward Secretariat, it was also a reminder that no horse is a cinch. No race is over until it's run, and no champion is so good as to be assured of constant success. We remember Onion, winner of the Whitney Handicap and conqueror of Secretariat some 50 years ago this weekend. Please join me again next week when I take another stroll through racing history presented by Keeneland. For HRRN, I'm Kurt Becker.
And once again, my thanks to Kurt and to Keeneland for making those segments possible each and every week. If you have missed any of Kurt's Stroll Through Racing History segments, all you have to do is head back over to our website, horseracingradio.net. You can check out the special podcast page dedicated to those stories and listen to every single one. There have been some amazing ones. Go back and listen at horseracingradio.net. When I come back, Dale Romans, Tim Wilkin, they will be here. It is this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer. This is the Equine Forum, presented by TwinSpires on HRRN.
You're listening to HRRN, Horse Racing's Voice.
Race the TwinSpires, where you can unlock a $25 risk-free bet. Just use the code HRRN25 when you sign up. And if your first bet doesn't win, TwinSpires will refund your account up to $25. Wagering on the app is fast with free past performances, insider picks, and power plays every day you wager. TwinSpires. Download the app today to earn your $25 risk-free bet. Void where prohibited. For terms and conditions, visit TwinSpires.com. Must be 18 or older, 21 and older where applicable. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Attention all racing enthusiasts, get ready for 2 action-packed weekends of heart-pounding turf racing at its finest. It's time to mark your calendars and clear your schedule because the August Turf Festival is coming back to Laurel Park on August 13th and 19th. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or a newcomer to the excitement of horse racing, there's something for everyone at the August Turf Festival. Learn more today at laurelpark.com. See you at the races. Virginia's horse racing and breeding industry is built on the talents, skills, labors, and passions of incredible people working in all parts of the Commonwealth. It supports 5,300 jobs that help create an economic impact of $542 million annually. Wager Virginia's showcase event this summer, the 9-week Colonial Downs Thoroughbred Race Meet, which runs through September 9th. It pays to breed or raise your horse in Virginia.
There are plenty of thrills at Gulfstream Park during the Royal Palm Meet with live racing Friday through Sunday and simulcast opportunities 7 days a week. Come out and enjoy the Summit of Speed, the Florida Sire Stakes Series, and a whole lot more. Watch the action from our Trackside Carousel Club, our Feast in 10 Palms restaurant with an elevated view of the track. For stake schedules, reservations, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
It's time now to shine the spotlight on the Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week.
New York Thunder, turning in a powerful performance in the Amsterdam. New York Thunder.
New York Thunder ran his record to a perfect 4 for 4 with that emphatic 7.5 length victory in the Grade 2 Amsterdam at Saratoga last Friday. A win worthy of making him your Darley Taking the Reins Performer of the Week. Start spreading the news about Darley Stallion Nyquist. The undefeated New York Thunder recorded a 110 buyer in the Grade 2 Amsterdam, the best of any 3-year-old. Plus, randomized, also by Nyquist, has run the best buyer of any filly of her crop at a mile or more. Nyquist yearlings are selling next week at Saratoga. Just imagine. Learn more about Nyquist and all the Darley Stallions by visiting DarleyAmerica.com.
This is I Ask, They Answer on the Equine Forum on HRRN.
Cody's Wish is making a big move on the extreme outside. Cody's Wish is picking off horses as they come for the top of the stretch in the Met Mile. Here comes Cody's Wish on the outside. Now to grab the lead. Slow down, Andy. Down towards the rail. It is Cody's Wish in front. Cody's Wish is drawing away. Cody's Wish putting in a huge effort here. Then it's Zandon and White Barrio. But it's Cody's Wish. And this beautiful racing story continues with this terrific racehorse. He has now won 6 in a row. Cody's Wish, winner of the Grade 1 Met Mile.
Cody's Wish easily disposing of his competition in the Met Mile. John Embriel had the call. In doing so, he delivered Tim Wilkin's knockout punch to Dale Romans' team victory in our first ever Showdown competition. Did Wilkin awaken a sleeping giant, or is he just that good? The Showdown II, Roman's Revenge, begins today, but with a brand new twist and a new challenge for our dynamic duo. We're going to meet our upset-minded listener and kick off the Showdown II draft on this week's edition of I Ask, They Answer with trainer Dale Romans and turf rider Tim Wilkin, all presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program in the College of Business, and all starting just 30 seconds from right now.
Learn the business of horses in the world's only accredited equine business program, the University of Louisville Equine Business Program. The University of Louisville has a legacy of excellence educating and developing industry leaders for over 35 years. Classes are taught by industry experts in state-of-the-art facilities located in the heartland of America's equine industry. The University of Louisville Equine Business Program. When it comes to horses, we mean business. For more information, visit business.louisville.edu/equine.
All right, Dale, Tim, we have been talking about the Showdown II for the past several weeks, and last week you guys drew out a listener who entered the contest among many that took time to enter. We really appreciate that. You drew out the winning listener who is going to draft a team today to square off with each of you. And this contest running from today through Breeders' Cup Saturday. Your horses that you choose are going to earn points based on where they finish in those races, first, second, or third. And you chose Michael Riley from Brooklyn, New York. And Michael is with us here this morning. Michael, welcome to the program, and congratulations on being drawn last week.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel honored, and I'm really excited to join this. And unfortunately, we're going to have two people chasing me because I'm going to get out in front early here.
I love it. He comes right out throwing down the gauntlet. A front runner. We'll see if he can hold on. Michael, take us back through your background a little bit. Let our listeners get to know you. How did you first get interested in racing?
Well, I like to say I was introduced to Saratoga races in my mother's womb. My mother is from Saratoga, and I was there before I was born in 1966. And, she moved down with my father to right outside of Washington, D.C., but we would visit Saratoga every summer, and my grandmother's birthday was opening day often, and fell in love with races. My father, he did his own figures back then in the 70s. And so outside of Washington, D.C., we'd go to Charlestown and the old Shenandoah Downs right across the street, and Laurel, Bowie, Pimlico. Those were all regular stops, occasionally Delaware and Monmouth. And then I moved to New York in the early 90s as an adult and, followed racing all along, but really started going on a regular basis and attending, Belmont, Aqueduct, and getting up to Saratoga whenever possible as well. And have been fortunate enough to travel around this great country and around the world and visit a total of about 45 or so racetracks. And, I'm an old school handicapper. I use the racing form. I like to make sometimes my own figures. I like to bet win. And I like to root for a champion, and I just love the humans, the horses, the people, the stories, the backstretch, the venues. I just really love racing.
Dale and Tim, I think you guys are in trouble.
It sounds like he knows what he's doing to me. It sounds like he came up the right way, and he's a 66 birth just like me. I was born August 66, August 14th, so we're the same age.
Wow. Good class there.
Well, I think that he's going to be a formidable piece of competition in this. I'm looking forward to it. Michael, I think you're going to do very well.
Thank you. I don't know if they're trying to psych me out there, but I'm really honored to be with here Tim and Dale. Real quickly, Tim's a great writer, and it's an art to writing about our magnificent sport. And in all my years of being around the races, I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Dale. So that's a quality man right there. I can tell. I haven't had the pleasure to meet him yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well, if you beat me, we'll have dinner together.
That's right.
All right, there you go. It says on Michael's Twitter page, which, by the way, is racing_dude, that he is the world's foremost expert on horse racing. So there you go. That's what you're up against, guys. And we're looking forward to this. We're each going to draft, or not me, but each of you are going to draft a team which includes 5 horses and 1 alternate selection. Now, your alternate selection is only going to be entered into the top 5 if one of those original 5 horses, your starting lineup, ends up going to the sidelines for injury or illness or whatever the case might be. And at that point, once your alternate horse is entered into the game, those are your 5 horses that you're going with all the way through Breeders' Cup Saturday. And if another horse goes to the sidelines, you're down to 4. If 2 go to the sidelines, you're down to 3. But that's what makes this game so intriguing. And whoever ends up with the most total points at the end will be declared the winner. We have a couple of tiebreakers, which are listed in the rules on our website at horseracingradio.net. So there are other ways that you can win if you end up in a tie with somebody. If your horse finishes first in any race, you get 10 points. If one of your horses finishes second in any race, you get 7 for that horse. And if they finish third, you get 5. So 10, 7, and 5 in any race. And we have to draw the draft order now before we get started. And you guys will be happy to know that the 3 names, Dale, Tim, and Michael, are now in my ever-present Pittsburgh Steelers ball cap. And my beautiful wife, Michelle, is here to draw out the names with me. So, Michelle, who gets the first pick in the Showdown II Romans Revenge? Oh, how about that? It is Dale Romans who will pick first. How about that, Dale?
Fixes in.
As it should be. As it should be.
Hey, there's still some controversy regarding the Showdown 1. So this is going to be a fun way to start. So Dale gets number 1. The second pick will go to, it is Michael. Oh, and Tim, I guess that means as the defending champ, you have to pick third.
That's no problem at all. It'll just show that I can do it I can come from behind, or I can go right from the lead. Doesn't bother me a bit. I can pick. I can let them guys pick their 5, and then I'll pick 5. I don't care.
All right.
Oh.
Wow. All right, so we'll go Dale, Michael, Tim, Then Tim will snake it back through. You'll get the fourth pick as well, and then Michael, then Dale. Then Dale will pick again, and we'll just kind of weave our way all the way through until each of you has selected those 5 primary horses, and then your final horse is your alternate selection. So, Dale, kick it off. You have 30 seconds. Dale Romans, Roman's Revenge on the clock in the Showdown II.
All right. With the number 1 pick in this draft, I want to give Tim a gut punch. And since I'm going to take Cody's Wish, because I get a start today, and we'll see what happens in that race at 1-9. And that way Tim can go ahead and pick 5 Baffert horses. So I'll take Cody's Wish for the Mott Factor, number 1.
All right, Cody's Wish is off the board. The horse that gave Tim Wilkin the victory in the Showdown 1. He goes to the competition, Dale Romans this time. Michael, who's your selection?
Well, Dale took the safe bet there going with the streaking horse, but I have a similar tactic. I'm going to jump out to the lead in front today with a Baffert horse, Adair Manor.
Ooh, Adair Manor. Great selection.
Okay.
Timmy?
Well, first, I just want to say it's obvious that Dale is afraid of me because he took the horse that beat him the last time, and that was my horse. And I respect that. I have no problem with that. Good pick, Dale. But for my first pick in this beautiful draft, I'm going to take who I think is the best female horse in the country, and that is Nest.
Not trained by Bob Baffert, Timmy. You know that,
not
right?
Not trained by Bob Baffert.
Then the next 4 will be. He's just doing that to make it look good.
Timmy, who's next? You get the next pick.
Well, I'm going to stay in the same barn, and I'm going to pick who I think is going to win the Travers, Forte.
Oh. Wow. Bob's not going to be happy about this. 2 Pletcher horses right away.
Got to stay on the East Coast, man.
All right. Michael, you're up.
Well, I must say Nest was one of my potential choices, but I'm going to go for a little bit of strategy here. Wow. I have 30 seconds to decide between 2 of them that I've narrowed it down to at this point. I'm going to go with an up-and-coming horse. Who doesn't love a 2-year-old Yo-Yo Candy?
Ooh. Strong. Yo-Yo Candy. Pick number 2 for our contest winner, Michael. Dale, who's your second pick?
Well, I've had to reshuffle the deck here a little bit. And I'm going to stick with the same barn and take Elite Power. I think we'll get 1 start before the Breeders' Cup and be even money going into the sprint.
Dale Romans with 2 Breeders' Cup winners coming out for his first 2 picks. Dale, you get to pick again. Who's your third pick?
Well, this is changing up my whole strategy. But with my third pick, I will take Echo Zulu. That's your beautiful right there.
Mott Asmussen.
That's it.
It's a strong trifecta. Michael, who's your third pick?
Well, I'm going to go out on a little bit. I have to shuffle my deck here, too, and go out on a little bit of a limb. I heard Dale say that he thinks Cody's Wish is going to win today, and I'm going to come in here with a little bit of a shocker. I think today's winner, and he's got a chance to win another race between now and the Breeders' Cup, White Abario.
That's
Florida
a good
Derby
pick.
champion from
I had a long talk with Dutcher the other day about him. He really loves the way the horse is doing. Let me clarify one thing. I'm not saying that Cody's Wish is going to win because I think Giant Game might beat him, but it gives me 2 horses in the race to watch for.
I like that.
Dale, wouldn't be the first time you pulled off a big upset at Saratoga, would it?
I said if you're going to be the longest price on the board, where would you rather do it than the Graveyard of Champions?
This is also the anniversary of Roses in May winning the Whitney this weekend.
Coming off a Cornhusker victory.
Ooh. A lot of things to like there.
Yep.
Tim, who's your pick? Giant Game?
Wouldn't that be something, huh? Wouldn't that be something?
It wouldn't be
Dale
a bad
never
pick,
talk
I'm
to
going
me
to tell
again
you.
if I did that. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with a very fast gray who's made it a habit of beating the boys and might do it again today. The Brad Cox trained Caravel.
Very nice.
Yeah. Shaping up good. Timmy, you get to pick again. 3 down, 3 to go.
Well, you know, part of me thinks I should go out west. I got to give some love to Bob Baffert, don't I? I'm going to go with
yes, you do.
Defunded.
You want him to talk to you.
Defunded is my pick.
Oh.
Pacific Classic.
All right. So Defunded joins Nest, Forte, and Caravel on Tim's team so far. Michael, you got 3. You got 3 more to go. Who's your next pick?
Well, I kind of had Defunded way down on my list if I was going to land on him, but I think he might be going the other way with his form. I'm going to pull a bit of a shocker here, I think, and I'm going to go with what I still think is the best 3-year-old in North America, and that's Mage.
The Derby winner.
Going to run in a tough race in the Travers. That's going to be a tough race.
And he's going to win it.
I like that.
You're saying Wilkin made a bad pick with Defunded, right?
Yeah, I think his form's going a little bit south here. His best races are behind him. But, Baffert's pulled out some miracles before. Why not? But good luck. That's all I'm going to say.
I do have an inside track on this horse now. I do talk to some people.
Yeah, to Bob.
And he never likes his own horses, right? Or something? I don't know.
Yeah,
no trainer does. No trainer does. Dale, who's your 4th round pick?
All right, now I'm going to the bench. Some of my friends stepped up and gave me a couple of horses that nobody's ever heard of that might win some races. It's just strictly wins between now and Breeders' Cup, right? Doesn't have to do anything with money.
Right.
So I'm going to take the Brad Cox train. Brad Cox advised me to take the horse Nordic Light. He's a 5-starter horse running in the Midwest.
Okay. Nordic Light is Dale's surprise selection in round 4. You got another one for us in round 5, Dale?
Round number 5, another one of my friends, Danny Gargan. Says the best horse he's ever trained. 2-year-old with a race under his belt. Door Knock, full brother to Mage.
Yeah.
Wow. What's the name? Door
Knock.
Door Knock. All right.
Dornoch.
Dale going
deep
in
golf course in Ireland.
Going deep into his draft board for that one. Door Knock is his 5th selection. Michael, you got pick number 5. Who is it?
Well, I'm going to kind of go in another direction here. I'm not even sure about this horse. I just got a gut feeling about an Asmussen horse that ran well last year in the fall, and I think is going to step up a little bit. And that's Private Creed. Turf sprinter. I think he's pointed towards Kentucky Downs. I'm not sure, but I'm going out on a limb here.
All right. Private Creed joins the Aqueduct All-Stars. Timmy.
My mind is fuzzy here because there's about 5 of them that I want to put as my 5th pick.
When in doubt, go with Baffert.
I am going to go with Wet Paint. 3-year-old filly won the Coaching Club American Oaks and looking to win the Alabama.
All right, so Timmy's starting 5 are in place. Nest, Forte, Caravel, Defunded, and Wet Point. That's a pretty good team. Who's your alternate selection, Tim, in case one of those horses goes to the sidelines?
My alternate selection will be a horse that I actually had on my team the first time, but I believe we didn't get much out of him. I am going to go with Taba.
Ooh.
Another Baffert horse.
Of course.
All right. Taba is the alternate for Tim. Michael, who's your alternate selection?
I'm gonna have. This is tough. I'm thinking now I could have made a decision differently, but I'm gonna put kind of a major horse on my alternate because I want somebody who's, I want a star in the waiting in case one of these should get sidelined, and I think we have a future star in Go Rocket Ride.
Go Rocket Ride. The Haskell winner. The alternate selection for Michael. Dale, how about for you?
That's a good pick. The only problem is, Mandela doesn't run very often. He'll probably wait for the Breeders' Cup. Another one of my close friends that everybody thinks is we're enemies because we compete against one another so much in Kentucky, especially at Churchill Downs. Steve Asmussen gave me a horse named Gold Sweep.
Oh, yeah.
Good call. Gold Sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Dale with the inside information.
Now, I do have a few friends in the game.
I did notice nobody selected a Romans horse. That could be a big mistake.
Could be. There's a couple of them I was going to, but I figured that was a little too much inside.
Gold Sweep was on my list of potentials. I should have snagged him, and that would have been a great chess move there. But
hey, if you would have done that, you would have sure impressed me.
Darn. It's on my list here.
All right.
That's impressive in its own right.
The Breeders' Cup, Saturday, November 4th, will be the final day of the competition once races are concluded that day. Not just with Breeders' Cup, but if you have a horse running in another race at another track, that is the final day of the competition, and it begins later this afternoon. Dale's team, Cody's Wish, Elite Power, Echo Zulu, Nordic Light, and Dornock as his top 5. Gold Sweep is the alternate. Michael, Adair Manor, Yo-Yo Candy, White Abario, Mage, Private Creed, and your alternate, Go Rocket Ride. Tim, Nest, Forte, Caravel, Defunded, Wet Paint, and Taba as the alternate selection there. Those are some strong teams, and I guess if you're going to set a morning line, I'm looking at this now, and I'm gonna make Dale the favorite, right?
What?
And yes, I'm making Dale. He's got 2. Look
What
at
do you mean?
Tim.
I was the favorite before the draw.
He's got 2 Breeders' Cup winners right there as his top 2 picks.
Yeah, but how many times are they going to run before this year? Twice each?
I don't know.
Didn't Echo Zulu win one too at 2?
I think she did.
Yeah.
I got 3 Breeders' Cup winners on my team, and 2 claiming horses or lesser horses that people probably don't know, and 1 up and comer in Dornock. How could I not be 4 to 5?
I would have made
quite
it
all right.
4 to 1.
Put me at 99 to 1. Arkang won the Breeders' Cup Classic with Jerry Bailey. They probably didn't even know what he was doing. The horse was probably speaking French to him. Didn't matter.
Do you remember
$200 Mutual? What was the second highest priced horse in Breeders' Cup history after that?
Breeders' Cup Classic? Might have been Volpone?
No, in the period.
Court
I
Vision.
think it came out of the Romans barn, did it not?
That was $160 Mutual.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Am I right? Was it Court Vision?
Yes.
Yep.
I think somebody might have broke my record since then, but at that time we were the second highest price.
Well, that's something right there.
Dale, why can Giant Game win the Whitney?
Because Giant Game is an up-and-coming horse. I think he'll be on the lead. Speed is always dangerous, especially at Saratoga, and I can't imagine anybody a 25 to 1 shot going out there and sacrificing the horse trying to run with it. So if we can get to the lead, get his ears up, get the galloping down the backside like he has his last 2 races, coming for home, he could just kick on.
Well, it was 19 years ago this weekend that you pulled off the upset with Roses in May in 2004. Not as much of an upset as we're going to see coming up with Giant Game if he can do it, but just ask American Pharoah what it's like to run against Dale Romans at Saratoga.
That was my first grade 1 win, Roses in May. That was a special day for us, and Mrs. Whitney was still around, gave us the trophy, which was one of the highlights of my career. She had Susan Lucci with her that day. We all went back to the director's room, had a toast. They couldn't have been more lovely people to be with.
Now, wonderful stories. All right, guys, Dale, Michael, Tim, the teams are in the Showdown II. We're billing it as Roman's Revenge after Tim knocked him off in the first round. What did Dale do? He came right out with his first pick and took Cody's Wish, the horse that officially put the nail in the coffin at the end of the Showdown 1 for Tim Wilkin. So, Dale, I like that selection. I think it's great strategy, and we'll see how this whole thing plays out. Timmy's got a strong team. Michael has a strong team, and we'll see how these horses fare between now and the Breeders' Cup. Michael, all the best, my friend. Good luck. Tim,
Thank
Dale, we have one final segment in the show. We're down to the last couple of minutes, but we like to do this every week. It is time for the West Point of the Week. And, by the way, guys, before we get to this, let me mention that all of these results, for people who want to follow along, every single week will be posted on our website at horseracingradio.net. They'll be updated by Monday, no later than Tuesday every week after the races are concluded over the weekends. And we'll keep up to date with every horse that runs. And as soon as they earn points, we'll have the updated standings for you at horseracingradio.net. All right, it is time for the West Point of the Week. Dale and Tim, this is the segment where you each get a chance to chime in on anything you would like. It is presented by our friends at West Point. You can experience the lifestyle of thoroughbred racehorse ownership with the gold standard in racing partnerships for over 30 years, West Point Thoroughbreds. Text HORSE to 66866 to learn about ownership. That's HORSE to 66866 and learn from the best. Message and data rates may apply. Timmy, kick it off.
Mike, yesterday I was out at the barns, as I usually always am, and I happened to cross Bill Mott's barn, and young Cody Dorman, whose namesake is Cody's Wish, was up from Kentucky to visit with Cody's Wish before today's Whitney. And it really was an emotional scene when Bill Mott brought Cody's Wish out and brought him over to young Cody, who's in the wheelchair. And just to watch that, I mean, I'd seen it on TV at Churchill Downs, but to see it live, there really is a special bond between horse and human, and it really was neat to see.
That's a great thing. I wish I'd have been there for that. Bill was telling me about it later on. He says it's just unbelievable the connection those two have.
No doubt.
My West Point of the Week. I hate to be a downer. I was a downer last week, but I want to be a downer again this week. Yesterday, racing lost a very good friend and a young guy, 52 years old, Clinton Glasscock. He had his own radio show on ESPN that promoted horse racing all the time. He was a big part of Starlight Racing. He passed away yesterday, and he will be greatly missed in Louisville and in the game. I just want to say rest in peace, my friend.
Yeah, sad news. We echo those sentiments, too, on behalf of Horse Racing Radio Network to Clinton and his entire family. Rest in peace, my friend. And, sad news. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Guys, appreciate it. We're going to do it all over again next weekend. And good luck with the Showdown II.
Good luck,
Thank
everybody.
You. Michael, it's good to meet you, and look forward to the competition.
Absolutely.
Pleasure is mine.
If you have a topic you want to hear Dale and Tim debate on these segments going forward, email that to me, Mike at horseracingradio.net, and I'll do my best to work it in for you. I Ask, They Answer is presented by the University of Louisville Equine Industry Program and the College of Business. I'm back with more. This is the Equine Forum on the Horse Racing Radio Network.
Hi, Tony. Hey, Matthew. There's a reason why Tony's Steaks and Seafood is my favorite restaurant. It's because I want to feel part of the family. Isn't that right, Tony?
That's right. There's a saying on the wall that I truly believe in. There's always room for one more at our table. We just want you to be part of our family.
And believe me, you will be. It's Tony's Steaks and Seafood right across from Triangle Park. Visit them at Tony'sSteaksandSeafood.com.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Well, John, the stage is set for the final transaction.
That's right, Joe. Heather's moment has arrived, and you just hope all that training pays off.
Heather lays down her purchase, but Randy rings it up as slowly as he can.
He is a wily veteran.
It gives Heather's eyes the chance to wander.
Uh-oh.
Yep, she's looking at the cigarettes.
There's nothing good back there. Quit now, and in 5 years, your odds of getting certain cancers drop 50%.
Meanwhile, Randy's stone-faced. He's giving nothing away. He just stands there, wetting his cashier's finger on that sponge.
Heather toes the rubber.
Here we go. Heather's arm is in motion. But instead of pointing at the back wall, she just grabs the gum off the counter.
That's a slick move.
Heather back. She is out of there. Even Randy tips his cap to Heather. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally wants you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
My battle buddies and I attended the NHL Stadium Series at Yankee Stadium. We had never been there before, and two of us had never seen a hockey game. Man, we had the time of our lives. It was great therapy. Vet Tix, we can't thank you enough.
Every empty seat at a concert, a game, motorsports, or a play is a missed opportunity to say thanks to a veteran and service member. We can help. We can give our veterans a special event where they too can create their own cherished memories. Find out how by visiting www.vettix.org. That's www.vettix.org. Find out how you can make a difference in a veteran's life.
Thursday evenings, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, is the Brisnet.com call-in show. It's your chance to call in and let the Horse Racing Radio Nation know what's on your mind. Call us at 888-966-HRRN. That's 888-966-4776. And discuss the topics you choose in the world of thoroughbred racing. The Brisnet.com call-in show on Sirius 216, XM 204, and streaming live at horseracingradio.net. You're listening to the Equine Forum on HRRN, presented by TwinSpires.
Well, don't forget that the August issue of Blood Horse features 130 pages, including Life After Flightline, with his superstar retired trainer John Sadler reflects and looks ahead. That story by Jay Hovde. And Master of Good Times. That's a story about owner Robert Masterson's latest gem, who is National Treasure, the Preakness winner. That's by Lenny Schulman. Download a copy of The Blood Horse now by going to bloodhorse.com/subscribe. Well, my thanks to all of our guests here this morning. Fun fantasy draft, the Showdown II, Romans Revenge underway. Dale, Tim, and Michael Riley, our special guests, taking on our dynamic duo. We'll see who emerges victorious on Breeders' Cup Saturday. Follow along at horseracingradio.net. Don't forget, you can check out the podcast of this show and all of our shows on our website and on every podcast platform. My thanks to all of our guests for making this show possible, talking about the Fasig-Tipton sale, big race days at Saratoga, at Del Mar, and at Ellis Park. My thanks to my producer, Lee Delapina, in our Lexington studio, and to Chauncey for all of our social media here this morning. I'm Mike Penna. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the races, and go Steelers.